That Sober Guy podcast contains adult content, merciless truth, and emotional nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
Yo, what's up? Thank you for tuning in today. Thanks to Humans for bringing us in. Thanks to you for supporting the show. I'm Shane Raymer. You're listening to That Sober Guy podcast, where we talk about drugs, alcohol, recovery, and all kinds of fun shit depending on what weird mood I'm in that day. Today's guest is Chris Bell, and Chris is an American director, producer, and writer known for his documentaries Bigger, Stronger, Faster, Trophy Kids, Prescription Thugs, and his latest film, Leap of Faith, which explores Kratom, a botanical supplement that has been proposed as an alternative to today's opioid painkillers. Chris also battled alcoholism and addiction himself, and he lost his older brother Mike to prescription pill addiction. We're going to talk about all that and more today, but before we get to Chris, be sure to check us out at thatsoberguy.com. You can also connect with us on Instagram at RealThatSoberGuy and on Twitter at Shane Raymer. Finding the right treatment for addiction and mental health illness can be tough, and that's why Sober Guys continue to partner with Foundation's Recovery Network. Foundation stays true to their mission. They hold high ethical standards, and they provide treatment in a setting of nationwide and residential inpatient and outpatient programs. So if you want to learn more, you can go to foundationshelp.com/soberguy. That's foundationshelp.com/soberguy. Or you can call 833-81-SOBER. That's 833-81-SOBER. And you can talk with an admissions coordinator, ask any questions, and you can get some treatment options. One last thing, and then we're going to get to Chris. We got a live show coming up June 23rd at the Hollywood Improv. Skylar Stone, other special guests to be announced. Tickets are $10. If you're in the Los Angeles area, come out, support us, support your own recovery, get involved and have some fun at the same time. If you want to get tickets to that, you can go to thatsoberguy.com and click on live shows, or you can go directly to the improv site. That's improv.com/Hollywood. Once again, that's June 23rd. All right, Chris Bell, my friend, thank you for inviting me out to do a podcast today, man. I've watched a couple of the movies, heard some about your story. You got some amazing things that have happened in your life, both big and small, challenging, triumphs, all that good stuff. So it's great to have you on the podcast, man.
Thank you, man. I think we just became like best friends.
I think so.
Like maybe about 15 minutes.
We pretty much already did a podcast in about 15 minutes.
I kept trying to not talk to you because I feel like I can relate to you so well. You know, it's like you don't know who to expect.
Totally.
You're just some guy that called me up and said, "Hey, I'd love to have you on my podcast." And I didn't even have time to like look it up or anything. So I said, "Yeah, it's about sobriety. Great. Come on by."
Yeah.
And then as soon as I saw you and I met you, I'm like, I already like this guy. And for some reason, I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah.
Or any really inclination to get any, but for some reason I get along really well with people that have a lot of tattoos. People? Especially the more they have. Yeah. For some reason, like the better friend they are. Like that's my lifting partners right now, they're tatted like from head to toe.
And you don't have any?
I have none.
Just never thought to get one.
I got a birthmark on near my belly button, but that's about it. That doesn't count.
You know, I don't not like any of my tattoos. I have my kids' names. I got a couple here and there. I got them in different places. I think if I could, if someone came down and said you can have no tattoos or get more, I'd just get rid of them. I don't know what it is. It's a weird thing, man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're at a point now where you're like,
I've
been there, done that, and they're cool, but
they're fun. I actually enjoy getting the tattoos. Like, maybe it's a weird pain thing. Yeah. I don't know. Like, depends where it's at too.
It could be a process thing. You just enjoy the process.
I do. The conversation,
working with the artist.
Totally.
You know, like, I mean, there's something very creative about it, and it's going on your body forever. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I always say I got my kids' names so I don't forget, which is kind of the classic cheesy joke. But at the same time, man, my son still says, "Where's my name, Dad?" And I show him, it's right here.
If I could get a tattoo though, I always said that this would be it, but it might be a little too cheesy. So like the one thing that always like really inspired me throughout my whole life and inspired me to make a comeback and get sober was Rocky, the movie Rocky. And so there's that like iconic shot of Rocky Balboa wrapped in the American flag after he beat Ivan Drago. And I'm always like, I'd love to get that tattooed like on my shoulder, but it'd have to be done. Like it would have to be awesome. Like it would have to look like it popped right out of the movie.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And like maybe a half sleeve or something.
I might even need to get more jacked if I do it too.
You're pretty damn jacked.
You gotta put it across the arms,
Dude, so I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. Health, wellness, sobriety. when the first, I mentioned this before we got going, the first film that I watched of yours was Prescription Thugs, which was phenomenal, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So much good information in there, many good interviews, fighting against Big Pharma and the opioid epidemic. You also, since then, went on to lose a ton of weight and just get jacked, bro, and just really change your lifestyle. Where did that start for you?
It's been a very interesting journey. So I'll start when I was young. When I was 19 years old, I was a power lifter. And every week I'd go into the gym and I'd put 500 pounds on the bar and I'd do sets of 8 with squats, like all the way ass to grass, down to the floor. And I was a kid, and I was beating everybody. I was a power lifter and I was on a national level and I was beating everybody in the country. And I went to teenage nationals and I came in third, and that kind of humbled me a little bit because I didn't come in first, but it was the national meet. And then I moved to California and started basically kicking ass in California and powerlifting out here. And when I was just always so into training, but the way that I got into training was really interesting because when I was 16, I had a double knee surgery, arthroscopic knee surgery. And that was sort of the first sign that there was maybe something wrong with me.
Because that's young to get
I was 16 years old and I was playing Pop Warner football, and I had to have this knee surgery. And after I had the knee surgery, I had a football coach. My football coach was a chiropractor. He was also a power lifter. And he said, well, I'm going to teach you how to do squats, And it was kind of interesting because this guy had a lisp, and, kids are mean. Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, you're going to go squat with Dr. Tom? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go squat with Dr. Tom. And then, and they thought like, oh, Dr. Tom, he must be gay because the way he talks. Like, he's got a lisp. He's totally normal. Like, shut up.
And he squats what I've learned, like a beast.
but listen, where those guys went wrong is they didn't listen to him, and I did. And everything that I have today is because I listened to that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't the mean one. I wasn't the one.
You weren't being an asshole.
Yeah. And that's like one of my brother's rules of life is don't be a dick.
Yeah. Totally, man.
He always says that.
Yeah.
But I say that like, I listened to him and I internalized what he said, and I was able to come back from an injury and, repair my body and get stronger. So he started me squatting with a broomstick on my back, and it was a broomstick. And then 3 weeks later, it was 135 pounds. And like 6 weeks later, it was maybe 225. Then maybe like 6 months later, it was 315. Then it was 405. Then it was 500 pounds. And you're going, wait a second, I just keep going up, and got up to like a 675 pound squat when I was like 23, 24 years old at like a 200 pound body weight, which is,
675.
Yeah. Considered really good in the powerlifting world. And, but then when I was around like 27 or 28, everything started to hurt. Everything started to ache. Yeah. I was always a power lifter. I always prided myself into going to parties, and I wouldn't drink. I didn't drink. And the reason why my brother, Mark Bell, who, I call him Meathead Millionaire. He's built a huge empire business on his company Slingshot. Uh-huh. And Mark is like a fitness icon now. And he always said, we're actually sitting in his house right now. He always says, hey man, it's I forgot where I was going with that. Go ahead.
Well, no, you were talking about building the empire from Mark.
Yeah.
And shit, now I forgot to.
Don't worry. Seriously, we're sober. I swear to God,
I promise.
No, but basically, where I was going with it is Mark has built himself up in this way, and he. This is what I was going to say. He would always say, "I don't drink because you never drank." And to this day, he really doesn't drink very often. Maybe every once in a while. His wife loves wine, but he'll have a glass of wine once a month. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even care about alcohol. And I was always like, how is he even like that? Because when I was growing up, I never really liked it. I didn't like the taste of it. I didn't like going to parties. I like going to parties just to like talk to people and hang out.
Yeah.
But I always knew about every party. I was friends with everybody. So like, we were always at every party, always hanging out. We were still cool. We actually made sobriety cool when we were young, because we would go to parties, we'd hang out, we wouldn't drink, and we'd be cool. And
really,
and so I think that there was something about that.
And that's rare, especially at a younger age like that, with the culture of alcohol, how it's just such a norm for everything.
You gave me a bumper sticker that says "Drinking is for pussies," and that would have been right on my car in high school.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I would have been like, "Yeah, drinking is for pussies." And then when I moved to California when I'm 28 years old, I'm working at Sharky's in Hermosa Beach, which is like a famous bar. It's always packed every single night of the week. You can go there. It doesn't matter. You can go there tonight. It'll be packed.
Oh, Hermosa Beach. I've been to the one in Huntington.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Sharky's is like legendary.
Yeah.
People just go there and get hammered. And they have these giant drinks in these, in basically like a beach bucket, like a pail, and they're called shark attacks, and people will just get like sloshed there, And so, I worked there for a long time, and there was always so many girls coming in, and me and my brother worked the door. And then, after working there for so long, we knew everybody. So then when I stopped working there and I went to USC film school. So, in the meantime, I was bouncing, like you do what you got to do to make money and pay the bills and do whatever. So when I got out of college, my friend owns Sharky's, and basically said, "Hey, you were the bouncer at the school bar and you always kept it in line. And I want you to come bounce at my bar now." He's like, "I want you to be the head of security." I'm like, and I'm not a very big guy. I'm only like 5'6", but I was always in charge of the guys that were like 6'4", 6'5". I would hire the biggest guys I could find, and they would, but I was better with people. I was good at talking to people and good at, talking to people.
Social skills.
And good at talking people out of fighting and good at talking people like, here's why you can't come in here.
This reminds me of rules. Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah. Until it's time to not be nice. Yeah. And it was just like, hey man, here's the rules and, this and that. But, I think but from working there and being around a bar and being around that environment, when I stopped working there, I just fell into it. Like it was really easy. Like I knew every girl in Hermosa. I knew everybody that partied. And so it was like real easy for me to just be like, yeah, I'm just going to go to Hermosa and party tonight. And it was fun for a while. But then as I was doing it, my body was breaking down. Like all these things.
You're talking about drinking, right?
Yeah,
drinking. Started drinking. Okay.
I basically got out of lifting and into drinking around 28. And from like 28 to like 35, it's like a blur. It's like I have no idea like what even went down. Actually a big part of my life is like that. And that's like the one regret that I have in life is that I wasn't sober during some of the times that were really important in my life. Like we'll get to it a little bit later, but when my older brother Mad Dog died, I was so high on pills that like I don't even remember crying.
Really?
I remember I've cried a lot since then. But it's since I got sober, but before when he died, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. What do I need to do? And it was very emotionless and it felt horrible because I wanted to cry and I was asking everybody like, should I be crying? They're like, yeah, I think so.
But you couldn't, or you just,
I didn't.
Did he pass away during the filming of Prescription Thugs, or was it before?
Yeah, it was basically, so we did Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and I was actually trying to come up with an idea for my second movie. I'm like, well, what can I possibly do, as my second movie? And I was, trying to come up with ideas. And I had began filming some stuff. My friend was a basketball coach at the time, and it was my drinking buddy. My drinking buddy, Leland, he was the guy I used to go out and party with all the time. And he's a big dude. He played basketball at Michigan, Division I basketball, was handed everything his whole life. This is a classic story.
Yeah.
And he became an alcoholic and a drug addict because he was always handed everything. And then when that was taken away from him because he hurt his back, he didn't know what to do. And so he still is lost. He's still in the struggle. I've been trying to help him for a long time and he just doesn't ever come out of it, because he's like, I have no purpose.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're 6'8", 280 pounds. What do you mean you don't have any purpose? You could destroy people. You could, there's so much things that you could do, but there's also so many things that he could do just because he's so talented at basketball and other things. It's like, dude, you're just wasting.
He's got a lot to offer.
Yeah. You're wasting a lot of time,
That's always like one of the toughest things is when we see people we love, like family or friends, and we know their potential, we can see what they have to offer. It could be a number of things, whatever their purpose is, maybe, and you can't help them because you can't help someone who really doesn't want to help themselves. And that's a really tough thing. I still work through that.
I've been really torn on it, and maybe we should even bring it up right now. So like Leland, he was my best friend for 10 years. More than that, maybe like 15 years.
Yeah.
He moved out from Boston. I moved out from New York to California. We met at Gold's Gym. We both worked selling gym memberships at Gold's. Nice. We both were sort of the big personalities there. Mm-hmm. And I was 5'6" and he's 6'8". So we actually looked like the number 10 walking around.
It's like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it totally was. And except for he wasn't that jacked and I wasn't that fat. but it's kind of close.
Just the height thing. That's all I was thinking.
Kind of close. But anyway, regardless of that, he was my boy, and we hung out all the time. And like now, so basically, I had cut him off. Yeah. Maybe about a year ago. Just so like I can't do it anymore, dude. Like you're gonna end up like Mad Dog, and I'm gonna find you in the gutter, and that's how it's gonna be. And I can't watch you do this to yourself.
Yeah.
And kind of like when I stopped talking to him, he didn't come around for like a long time, but now like recently he's trying to come back around again. Like he keeps texting me and stuff, and I've texted him back once or twice, but then I'll just get like 10 texts in a row, and he's trying to tell me that he's like 60 days sober. I'm like, yeah, but people that are sober don't text people 10 times in a row. You know what I mean? Like that's a drunk thing. So
big sign.
So I'm like, man, I'm like, I love the guy. I want to text him back. I don't want to see anything bad happen to him. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Like I've seen my brother go down this path. I've seen so many of my friends, go down that path that like, I'm almost scared to be a part of it. So I'm actually trying to like be stronger and just come back around and just like call him up and be like, hey dude, it's hard because he's he can manipulate me very easily.
Totally.
And so like, I know if I call him and I say, hey, look, are you really doing this? You really want to get sober? Do you really want to get clean? Because I'll help you. And then like have him not come through on it would be like so disappointing to me.
Yeah. Well, you set yourself up, and you have, because you invest time and emotions, and then you start hoping for the best, or maybe you see a little progress, and then all of a sudden it's like 8 steps back. Like I have a good friend, who is one of my best homies, and spent a lot of time together, especially when we were using drugs together. And he got in a really bad car accident and almost died. And it changed his life because he had some brain damage, and the recovery just physically for him has been it's been insane, like pain wise, and
it's brutal.
It's a lot of the same stuff.
And that's what happened to me. So I was a power lifter my whole life, right? We get to this age of like 28 when I kind of stop power lifting. I start drinking more, but I was always still lifting. I always still lifted. I always still followed kind of like a low carb diet. I've been doing like a low carb ketogenic diet style thing since like 1995, but I've gone on and off of it so much. I've gotten really fat up to 260 pounds. I've gotten really lean down to 165 pounds, like, and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
And now I found something that, really works for me a lot better. Which we'll talk about in a little bit, but like, I feel like, I've been, through all this, like, up and down.
Yeah.
And, but when I got to be 28 and I started being in pain, I was actually working at Sony Pictures at the time. I was a production coordinator for their special effects department, because I had gone to film school, and I was like, man, why am I working at these bars? I'm just wasting my time. I wanted to really be a filmmaker, but I couldn't get a real job. Like every time I go to get a real job in the film industry, like nobody wanted to hire me. I had too big a vision. Like I would be like, hey, I'd walk into Warner Brothers and be like, okay, when I take over the studio, here's what I want to do.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, kind of like that. Not that big, but like I just feel like I was never the person that was going to be an employee. I was never going to be the person that you could tell, hey, just do this, this, and this, and good job. I had to do things that were like outside the box, that like fit me, that fit what I do and who I am. So basically though, like what ended up happening was like I was lifting and I was doing all these things, and I was drinking and stuff, but I wasn't bad. I was just partying just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I made Bigger, Stronger, Faster. And in the course of making Bigger, Stronger, Faster, which was my first film, it was at Sundance in 2008. So I started that in like 2005, right? Actually, right before that, I was working at Sony. And then right before that, I was working at WWE as a writer. So I was on the road writing for WWE. And that was another thing. I got fired from WWE after 6 months. Really? It was like a dream job for me, but it's a very high pressure job. And it's funny because you're writing for wrestling, which is like a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Well, Mike was working as a wrestler.
He was a wrestler, right? But he was never like a big contract guy. He was, kind of like the guy that used to beat up.
Yeah.
But
what were you saying? You said it was a joke, like you were writing, and it was
it's to get fired from WWE as a writer, you'd be like, how bad of a writer are you? And it's like, no, it's not that I'm a bad writer. It's like, I'm not clicking with the rest of the group. It wasn't like, oh, you don't have the talent to write for WWE. It was more like, it was a fast paced, crazy environment. And the things that, was like basically what happened there was I went in with a bunch of ideas, and just like the studios and other places that I said, the ideas were just like way too big, way too but that's what they hired me for. When they hired me, they said, we want you to flesh out big, long storylines. So I went through and I fleshed out a big, long storyline that was like 12 weeks long, like a feature film. Like, we're going to unmask Kane, the Undertaker's brother. He's going to take the mask off. Like, I built out this like 12-week thing. And then like when you actually see it on TV, they did it all in one night. So it's like they could basically like just in the beginning of the night set up a match and like, okay, we're gonna, tonight he's get
and that was that.
That was it. It's like, I thought you guys wanted me to develop long, but a lot of things would happen, happen like that. And it's just like, I just wasn't cut out for that.
Well, so then you were saying you made bigger, stronger.
What I wanted to say is like all those things, like when you get fired from WWE, from your dream job, that was a crushing blow to me. It was a depressing, crushing blow. And it wasn't like I went home and started like drinking after that or anything like that. Yeah. These things slowly creep up on you. Somebody was just asking me about like how much of it's a personal choice. And I said, none of it. It's you slide into it. Yeah. Is it a personal choice to take the pill, the Vicodin, the Percocet, the fentanyl the first time? Yeah. But usually it's not really a choice. Usually it's a direction that you're given from a doctor. Hey, you should take this. Yeah. So is there a personal choice? Well, no, because if your doctor tells you take this, it's going to help you, you're going to take it. Yeah. So it's not really your choice, right? But you do get to a point where you could stop taking them, or you could get to a point where you could say, hey, I understand. I'm like, I used to only need 5, now I need 10. Yeah. And you can get to a point where you can say, okay, well, maybe I should get off of these. Yeah. And then personal choice could be an issue, but at that point, we know as addicts, it's not your choice anymore. Yeah. The drug already took over.
And I think what you're talking about too is the progression of things. Like, so whether it's alcohol, pills, whatever it is, I never thought I would be in the spot that I was in the last year before I went to rehab. Like, it was like I'm not supposed to be, this isn't what I planned my life out to be. Like, I'm not, how the hell did I get to this point? And it happened so fast. It was almost like unreal. Almost surreal, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's the path that I went down. It was like, it
just got you all of a sudden.
It got me. Yeah. And so basically like, I'll just skip forward a little bit because this is where the interesting stuff comes in. I finished Bigger, Stronger, Faster. Uh-huh. I finished my first feature film. I went to USC Film School. I was dying to make movies. I got out of school and it took me 10 years from the day I got out of school, which by the way is a story that my dad told at Sundance. He walked up and, we were in front of the whole, all the people that watched the movie at the premiere, like 500 people. And my dad said, yeah, I told my son that when he graduated from college, it would take him 10 years to do what he wanted to do, to achieve what he wanted to achieve. And then I grabbed the mic from him and I said, yeah. And today is like literally 10 years from the date that I went to college. It's only like a month or two off. Yeah. Or Sundance was at the end of January, and it was 10 years the September that had just passed. So that September that had just passed was like October, November, January. I was almost like 3 months shy of 10 years before I made it to where I wanted to make it. And my dad just knew that from experience, you know? And then we went to Sundance and it was great, but I just kept remembering at Sundance because I was getting hammered at that time. I had a really bad drinking problem. I had no problem with prescription pills yet. I'd never taken a prescription pill.
How old were you at this time?
I was like 30, I want to say like 33, 34, somewhere around that. It was like I was making Bigger, Stronger, Faster. When I got my hip replacement surgery, I did double. So what happened was, we're gonna get to that. So basically what ended up happening was I had a double hip replacement surgery. And I had them done at the same time. And the reason I had to have that done is because I had arthritis my whole life that I didn't know about. And I didn't know about it until after I had won all these powerlifting competitions. I had done all these things. I was always in pain, but I was never a complainer. So
you just wrote it.
Just wrote it out. I was like, whatever. And then my doctor was like, you can't even walk. He's like, you need two new hips. Like when my doctor saw me, And I'm like, but you haven't even done an x-ray. He goes, I don't need to.
Yeah, he could just
you
tell.
You can't even move, And from the time that he told me that until the time they took my hips out, it was a couple months. And that was the most agonizing pain I've ever been in my entire life.
Even sleeping, probably just
nothing.
Anything.
And so they gave me what's called Darvocet. And I always say like there's this gradual mountain of opioids. There's like you have like Darvocet, or maybe you have like I don't know which ones are lower, but like on the low end you have like codeine and Darvocet and Tramadol. And then it starts like really ramping up to like Norco and Vicodin, which are kind of the same thing. And then like, then it's fentanyl, or then it's Percocet,
Oxycontin,
Roxycodone, Zyhodrone, and now Carfentanil, which is an elephant tranquilizer where if you even touch it, you could die.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's this ever increasing scale of opioids that like, who's ever going to be able to get off of that? Nobody, because that's a train that just keeps going in circles, So you can get off of opioids for, people get off them. They always go right back on them. It's not something that's really easy to get off of. So what ended up happening is after the surgery, I still had a lot of pain. I was achy all the time. Everything hurt. And, I think after about 2 or 3 weeks of being on prescription painkillers, I was already addicted to them. I could tell.
Fast. Huh?
Yeah. And then I just remember I would go walk. I had a bulldog at the time, and like I'd go like walk my dog around the block. And by the time I got back, I needed to take more pills.
Damn.
Because it hurt that bad.
Really?
I was like, well, I'm only going to go around the block. Cause I got to a point where I was 10 weeks post-surgery. I was still, I was on crutches for 12 weeks. So I could walk, but I had to do that like stutter step walk with the crutches where it's like, looks all weird. And, it's brutal. And you don't realize how much you rely on each joint in your body, each bone in your body, each thing in your body. And it's like when you go through all that pain and all that agony, and then, you go to the gym and you see somebody that has like one leg or something, like when I do all the time, it inspires me so much because I know how bad it hurts when one joint hurts. Yeah. And I'm like, I could not imagine missing, like, losing a limb.
Oh, totally.
Losing, like, not having my faculties about me, being blind, being deaf.
Yeah.
So I commend all of those people that have those disabilities and are able to like overcome them, because what I'm overcoming is just pain. And to me, it's a lot simpler than a lot of these other problems. And that's what I want to talk about, because I think there's a lot of ways to get people out of pain that they don't get addicted to anything.
Yeah. How many pills were you taking a day?
I was up to about 30.
Damn.
And they were Percocet, 10 milligram, big dogs, And
it's like you were saying, like you take 5 and then all of a sudden 5 doesn't work. Now you got to take 10.
So speaking like it's just of irony and how, how messed up the country that we live in is, I'm at the UCLA USC game, and the doctor who owns the clinic where I had my hip replacement surgery ends up sitting right behind me.
Really?
And I'm sitting there popping Percocets the whole game, talking to the dude. Right. And he's telling me he's like, have you had trouble with your hip? I said, yeah, my hip's killing me all the time. And I was telling him like all the pain I was having, all the problems. And he's like, well, listen, man, he's like, we've had a lot of people have recalls on their hip. I'm like, you have? And he goes, yeah, we've had about 5% people recall. They're still in pain. He's like, you might be one of those people. He's like, you need to call my office right away. And I was like, okay. So I actually went home. By the time I got, it wasn't that day. It was maybe that was like on a Saturday because it was a USC football game. Yeah. So by the next Monday or Tuesday, they had called my parents, the office, and they said, we need to see your son right away. We think he might have one of these bad hips and we might have to redo it. So basically they pulled 2 years after my first surgery. I was still addicted to painkillers. And then they rip out my other hip and put a new one back in. So that's my third hip replacement, basically. Damn. And when they did that, and then they put me back on pills, and that was in November. It was November 14th of 2008, right? Bigger, Stronger, Faster was just about to come out. Like it was going to come out in January at Sundance. So I was going to be, the plan was I was going to be just off crutches, when I got to Sundance. And I was, right? That was the first surgery. The second surgery happened in 2000, I want to say it was 2009 or 2009. And it happened like 1 week or one month before my brother Mad Dog passed away. So Mad Dog died. And then I went in for a hip replacement, and then my brother died. Imagine like how bad that is, like getting kicked in the nuts,
Totally.
After, it's like insult to injury. And like I said, my brother died, and I didn't really have the emotions there that I thought should be there when somebody dies.
Yeah. It's really totally numb.
And that's another, like, if I have any regrets, those are the regrets. It's those little things. Like, I should have cried more when my brother died. And it's like, because I feel like I didn't mourn properly, and maybe I didn't get over it properly, because I think things at the time mentally affect you, right? Like, it mentally affects you at that time, and it's like where your mental state is at that time, I think is going to matter as far as like how you deal with it, how you grieve, how you process it, and all these different things. So I never really processed that correctly, and I always felt, I always feel guilty about it.
Still till today.
Yeah, like I don't even like to talk about it. I feel like I'm getting into dirty territory or something. Like, maybe I shouldn't.
Do you work on that stuff, like through recovery, like
I do
step work or anything?
Yeah. Okay. So here's my deal with AA. I think AA is amazing. I love it. I've never heard better stories. I'm a storyteller. I'm a filmmaker, and you cannot make up the things that you hear in AA. You can't make up like, I got hammered. I was at the airport. I got hammered. Next thing you know, we're landing in London, and I'm in the cockpit with the pilots drinking. And I get arrested, and you're like, "What? How did that happen?" And you have no idea.
Unbelievable.
I mean, you've heard them on. So that's just one example.
They're insane.
And you hear those stories. So I love it for that fact, and it's helped me tremendously to do a lot with my life. But when I went, I was forced to go through the rehab I went to. I hated it.
You didn't want to be there.
I didn't want to be there. I didn't like the way people acted. I hate walking around watching people suck on dildos, which are those vaporizers. I can't stand it.
What is the deal with those?
It's stupid.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
But it like looks like a dildo.
It's like, it does actually. Now
they're like,
say that.
They're like sucking this.
They always
thing.
cover it too. Maybe that's
like,
so it doesn't have to look like it. Yeah.
Sucking these things. You think about how weak-minded it is.
Yeah.
Think about how weak-minded addiction is. Think how weak-minded it is when you pick up a food that's made for a child and you eat it. We'll talk about cherry pies. But I have a story for you.
Let's hear it.
So I started a ketogenic low carb diet, shortly after, but like a couple of years ago, started doing it seriously. And when I was doing it, I was with my girlfriend, Lauren, and Lauren was like, okay, we're going to do this. And Lauren's already like shredded. She looked awesome. And she's like, we're going to do this. Like, you're going to get in shape. And I think in the back of her head, she thought like, he's not going to really get in shape. Like, who's he kidding?
Yeah.
And she just loved me because she's a happy girl, and she was, super nice girl. I just got lucky, man. I got lucky with this really, really beautiful girl who people were like, come up to me going, dude, is that your girlfriend? No offense, but she's way out of your league. I'm like, no, like, trust me, I know, dude. I know. Like,
I know what I got, man.
I'm well aware, and I take care of her really good, and I'm really nice to her.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. But it was always kind of like that. And but she's, she ended up being the one that saved my life, because when I was down and out, and I was but let me tell this story first. So I started this low carb ketogenic diet, and I was sticking to it, and it was the third day in. And the third day in, I had these crazy sugar cravings. But since I was an addict, I didn't, I had that behavior where I'd like to hide stuff.
Totally.
So I was like, hey, Lauren, I need to go to the gas station to get gas. She's like, at 9 p.m.? I'm like, well, I like to get up early and train, so I don't want to get up at like 5 and have to go to the gas station. Yeah. I'm just going to go now. I feel like going now. I'll go fill up my car. But I was really going to the gas station to get a bunch of candy. And I got like 2 or 3 packs of Starburst, just regular Starburst, and I just like opened them right there, and in my car, and
like you're doing dope or something.
But Starbucks are hard. Starbursts are hard to open.
Yeah, it takes some
effort.
It
takes a little effort, right? Yeah. And I opened up like 2 full packages of Starburst and chomped them down, ate them in the car, And then like went back in and was like, hey, hon, how you doing? You know? And then she's like, oh, awesome. Like, I can't wait. What should we have for breakfast tomorrow? And I'm thinking, like, man, I just blew my diet.
Ate a bunch of Starburst.
And I didn't tell her for like months afterwards because I felt so bad. And it didn't do anything to my diet or what I was doing.
It's like mental though. Like there's a mental.
It was a weakness.
Yeah.
I look at it as a weakness. And you said you have a weakness with like cherry pie.
Pies, man. It's the same thing. I'll go, Jess will say, hey, we need some potatoes, grab a salad. Okay, I'll be right back. And I've actually done the same thing too. Hey, I'm going to run to the store real quick.
Yeah.
It's cherry pies, Hostess cherry pies or cupcakes, Hostess cupcakes. It's the same thing. I'll eat them real fast on the way back home when I'm driving.
Yeah.
And then
Nobody will see it.
Nobody will see it. And then I'll go around the side gate on my way in and I'll throw them in the outside garbage so nobody sees them. And then I'll go in. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And it's like this, there's this self-destructive want or need there too. It's a weird yes, I like the taste of it. It's sugar. It tastes good at the time. I feel terrible afterwards, but it's almost like a punishment type of thing, which is really odd, even when I say it out loud right now.
Yeah, it is really weird. And so, I think that, we can condition ourselves out of those things.
Yeah.
We were made to be addicted to food though. That's the thing that you're missing is that like, you probably haven't dove into the food industry like I have. I'm doing this documentary now on the food industry, and I
know it's terrible.
Well, Frito-Lay spends $30 million a year on making their foods more addictive. That's in A Leaf of Faith. I talked about vanishing caloric density in A Leaf of Faith because I think it's really important to put things in perspective in ways that people can understand it. So when I want to talk about how addictive something is, I said, well, it's like as addictive as coffee. Now, now you can understand it, right? Like you have a better understanding.
You can compare, kind of.
But if I tell you, Ben, like, hey, look, I designed to make this cherry pie addictive. They're doing the same thing that Big Pharma did with opioids. So opioids are 1,000 times more, they bind to receptors 1,000 times harder than anything in nature. And, kratom, which we were talking about before, is a plant from Southeast Asia that people take to use to detox from opioids, but also take it just because it makes them feel good, makes them happy. And it doesn't bind to the receptors in that way because it's natural, right? So now you're looking at it go like, wait, they designed it to bind to that receptor? And their excuse is like, yeah, well, we had to. That's how it gets rid of the pain for so long.
I see.
And, and then Oxycontin was all started on a lie where they told you like, hey, look, it'll last 4 hours. But after you take it for like a month, it only lasts 3 hours. After you take it for 2 months, it only lasts 2 hours. After you take it for like 6 months,
that tolerance.
it only lasts for like an hour. And then you got to take more, right? And so you're building that tolerance. And then you just get to a point where there is no way that you could take enough to get high without getting respiratory depression and dying. Yeah. And the thing that's really interesting about kratom is it doesn't make your body produce this substance called beta-arrestin. And beta-arrestin is why people die from, I guess it's like an increase in beta-arrestin, which makes you, it slows your breathing. It's what controls your breathing.
Got it.
The hormone or enzyme or whatever you call it. I have to look into it a little bit further, but I know as far as talking to the doctors, like Dr. Christopher McCurdy from University of Florida has been studying kratom for 12 years. And he says to me like, hey, look, beta-arrestin is what kills people. When you raise the beta-arrestin, it's what makes people stop breathing and they die. And kratom doesn't do that at all. So it's crazy because we've stumbled upon this plant that can help people with all sorts of addiction, including sugar addictions. And so when I started taking kratom, what happened was, and this is controversial because like I started taking kratom, I went on Joe Rogan's podcast and I talked about it.
Yeah.
I got crucified by AA. People that were my friends.
Really?
Oh yeah. People are my friends going on my social media saying, hey,
I have listened to the podcast. It's a great podcast.
Hey bro, you're not sober anymore. Well, who cares? It's not for you.
Yeah.
I didn't get sober for you. I got sober for me, you know? And I got and if you watch A Leaf of Faith, the person that's helped me the most throughout my entire sobriety, besides my brother Mark, has been a guy named Richard Tate, who I owe my entire life to. Richard Tate owns Cliffside, Malibu. He's one of the craziest people I know, but I love him.
Yeah.
I love him because of that. He's like a no bullshit guy. And when you see him in interviews and you see him on Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz, he's all buttoned up. He looks, he looks amazing and he speaks very well. But when he gets you like alone, and he's got you, he basically walked into my, my rehab. The first day I was there, he said, come here, baby. give me a hug. And he gives me a big hug. And he was in Prescription Thugs.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. And so I interviewed him for Prescription Thugs. This is kind of amazing. This is how my life works all the time. Like this is an everyday occurrence. I know a lot of people. I am good talking to people. Like I have fun talking to people and I like it. And there's always somebody else that I know that I can hook this guy up with that'll help this guy, that'll help this guy, that'll help this guy. Yeah. And, Richard knew that and he's seen my films. And so I interviewed him, but then, 6 months later, or even more, like 8 months later, I ended up in detox up here in Sacramento. My girlfriend, I was drinking every day. I met this girl, Lauren. She was beautiful. And I said, hey, let's hang out, blah, blah, blah. We started hanging out. We started dating. Once we started dating, I had to say to her, like, hey, I have a problem. And she's like, what could it possibly be? I was trying to think. I'm like, well, listen, every night when you go to bed, I open up a bottle of vodka and I drink the whole thing. She was like, what? I'm like, yeah, the whole thing. And then I take benzodiazepines to go to sleep. She's like, what are benzodiazepines? Like, well, like Xanax and Ativan and, like
she had no idea.
And so what happened was I was able to get off of opioids. I was able to get away from them, but I couldn't get away from alcohol. And, you hear these disputes all the time in rehab and AA. And I would just say like, it's probably all the same. We probably struggle to different degrees with different things, depending on who we are. Some people it's cocaine. Some people it's heroin. Some people it's pills. Yeah. Some people it's booze, some people it's porn. You're like, how can you get obsessed with porn? And you're like that, you could just walk away from it. Like, no, they can't. They have the same problem that we had. Yeah. And some people have all of them. Some people have issues. What's your drug of choice? And some people are like, I'm an everything club.
Totally. Yeah. Gambling, shopping, sex, drugs, alcohol. I think that's kind of what you're saying, right? Like the concept of it, no matter what the choice is of what the product is or whatever it is you're using, that addictive tendency or trait, if you possess it, it'll kill you.
So I think addiction's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I think so one of the biggest places where addiction comes, like we all have to eat every day. We don't have to use drugs every day. We don't have to drink alcohol every day, but you have to eat. Yeah. So are you going to make a good choice? Are you going to make a bad choice? Are you going to make an uninformed choice? Are you going to make no choice and have somebody make it for you? Like there's several options here, right? Yeah. When you say each time that you eat, I want to be a strong individual. I want to be strong. I want to be a good dad, a good husband, a good whatever you want to be good. I want to be a good podcaster, like whatever. I want to be good. Well, those things require proper nutrition. And I think this is like the way to explain it to kids, because I feel like in a way you got to talk to people like they're kids because they're eating like kids. Sure. They're eating cherry pies and Starburst. Look at us. We're fat fucks, Like look at what we're eating. And so when you have... When you're like looking at that, you go like, well, why is Shane eating so much sugar? Why does he need those cherry pies? Yeah. Well, he needs those cherry pies because his brain tells him that's good, and that lights up his brain. It gives him dopamine. It gives him what? What does it give you? Dopamine?
Dopamine.
What's the first couple letters? Yeah. Gives us dopamine.
High. Yeah, it does. It's a euphoric
and if we can get rid of dopamine. Yeah. If we can, we need it. But if we can lower our expectations of when we get dopamine and when we don't, and we can replace that with something called serotonin, which is also made in the brain. Serotonin comes from love. Serotonin comes from Lauren. It comes from my dad. It comes from my mom, and it comes from my brother. Dopamine comes from drugs. It comes from porn. It comes from weed. It comes from all these things that could like bring you down, right? Yeah. And some of them do, and some of them don't. Like I have friends that smoke weed every day, and they're super, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's my boy, right? Like, and he's got no problem with it. He's doing great. That's his path. You know what I mean? But I always warn people, don't look at somebody else's path and think that you can do that. If I look at the best Mr. Olympia of all time was probably Ronnie Coleman. Yeah. Biggest dude in the world. And it's like, well, I'm just going to eat what he ate and train like he trained. Well, guess what? It ain't going to work for you like that.
It's different person.
It's genetics. There's so many factors. Right?
What about just the relationship with food too? My wife and I had this conversation recently with someone at our gym in Vacaville about the relationship between like this emotional connection to it versus eating for fuel. There's a big difference, and that's something that there's a connection there. Maybe it goes back to childhood. Maybe I'm sure it has some addictive connections to it too. How do you start to change that relationship?
Well, I think you change it through what I was just going to bring up, and I think that's some sort of fasting.
Really?
So my brother, a couple of weeks ago, he owns a house up in Bodega Bay. You know where that is?
Great place.
Yeah. So they own like a nice beach. He's done well for himself, and he likes to have nice things, and they have a cool house up in Bodega Bay. And he said, "Hey,
this is a badass house too."
I'm going to
excuse me.
I'm gonna go do a dopamine fast. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I'm just gonna fast from everything. Like, I'm bringing a notebook and a pen. I'm not bringing. I'll have my phone with me, but it's gonna just stay in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah.
And I have my car, but I'm not gonna listen to the radio. I'm not gonna listen to podcasts. I'm not doing anything. I'm driving up there by myself. I'm hanging out in my house by myself. No wife, no kids, no friends, no nothing. And I'm just gonna hang out and be with myself for a weekend." And he made it like 24 hours. But he still had to like text his wife a couple times.
Yeah.
Like, there's still things that you got to do, right?
Totally.
But he said it was one of the most valuable experiences that he'd ever had. So like, I want to actually try to do it.
I want to try to do it too. That's huge.
And also like what Mark was saying is like, well, maybe it'd be awesome if we did it together. Cause then at least you have somebody else to talk to. Maybe what you're doing is like, maybe there's a dopamine fast that can be replaced with the person I love the most, my brother.
Wow.
And so maybe it's a dopamine fast and a serotonin splurge or something, So I don't really know. I mean, we haven't really tried that yet, but I think getting away from things helps so much. So to explain what a carnivore diet is so crazy to people. But basically, the way it all came about was in 1995. I went to Gold's Gym in Venice, and I was training with a guy named Mike O'Hearn. A lot of people know him as Titan. He was on American Gladiators. He's this huge, jacked, good-looking, all-American kind of guy. And Mike O'Hearn was he just looks like he walked right out of a magazine,
The specimen.
If I say if you say like, hey, what do you picture a bodybuilder being? Like, I would point to his picture.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, but more aesthetic, it's more of a look that most guys would want to look like. He just turned 50.
Really?
And he posted his dad bod at 50, and he's like jacked and shredded. Like, he's like 260 and just shredded, right? And he's like, 50. Yeah, dad bod. And you're like, yeah, right. Come on, Mike. So Mike was training with this guy, Ron Fedko. Ron Fedko now works at Stanford, and he's the head of the computer science department up there. And as well as I do, anybody in a high position that's really successful is usually crazy.
Yeah, somewhat, for sure.
Like I was just saying with my friend Richard that owns Cliffside Malibu. He's a little crazy, but that's what gives him that energy to help people. And he wouldn't have that energy to help people. But also like the way, like I said, when he got me alone and he could get through to me, that's where he really got through. It was like when
he's talking to you one-on-one.
When he could be one-on-one and he could get a little crazy and tell you things that like
be
maybe
real.
Maybe you wouldn't want to say in a meeting setting because like other people won't totally get it.
Yeah.
But the where was I even going with that? What I was saying is like, so the carnivore diet came about. I was training with this guy, Ron Fedko, and Ron Fedko is like, no bullshit. He'll just tell you exactly how he feels. Be like, Shane, don't like the beard. Get rid of it. Don't like the tats. Get rid of them too.
Huh.
Like he'll just tell you, like, and you'd be like, oh, okay.
Right,
like,
Ron.
And he's very intimidating, right?
Yeah.
And he's very smart, almost like too smart for his own good. So he's like, yeah, like you would be a really good power lifter. Like your lifts are really good, but like you're just so fat that like I don't really see much of a future for you unless you probably got to lose like 60 pounds.
Just brutally honest.
60 pounds. I'm like, dude, you want me to weigh like 160? Well, guess what? There was a point in my life where I weighed 168 pounds.
Really?
And I was shredded to the bone. So like this guy's prediction of what I should weigh when I was like ripped was exact.
So he spoke it out over you.
I don't know. He just knew. That's how much you should weigh. And so that was the only time I was ever really like that low of body fat, like that lean. But
that wouldn't have anything to do with the carnivore diet though. At that time you weren't on
that did.
Oh, it did.
So I'll explain it. So basically what happens is like, you're too fat. And I said, well, what do you suggest I do about it? He's like, go get a pen and a piece of paper and write down everything I say. I'm like, oh God, here we go. I'm already in school at this point. I'm at USC. I'm going like, oh God, I got to take more notes. So I said, I basically go get a pen and a paper from the front desk. I'm at Gold's Gym in Venice.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, write this down. Ready? Red meat, water, salt.
That's it.
And I said, well, where's the rest of it? Where's the vegetables? Where's the this? Where?
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's it. And I said, what do you mean that's it? He's like, you're telling me that you can't eat like steak every meal or, a burger every meal or just even ground beef. It's $3 a pound at the time, back then. Yeah. It was 1995. Like you can't afford that, And I said, well, no, I could totally afford it. I mean, you can get these big tubes of ground beef at Costco for like real cheap and whatever. And I'm like, I'm just wondering why. He goes, because you're too fat. And like, that was it. Like, that was the explanation. So like, I kind of had to dive in on my own. And so then I'm actually walking away and he goes, hey, Chris. And I turn around and he's like, not even a stick of gum.
Really?
And I'm like, dude, like how crazy is this going to be? Yeah. So I call him the next day, I go, Ron, you're going to hate me because I know you're going to say no. But I looked at all the ingredients. Can I have like brown mustard on my beef? And he's like, yeah, brown mustard's fine, but no ketchup. So I bought this giant thing of Gulden's brown mustard from Smart and Final, and I had a big pump on it. It was like a gallon thing that you buy for like the hot dog stand.
Yeah, the big ass one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I bought that, and I bought these giant pounds. Me and my roommate at the time, my roommate was as crazy as I was about lifting.
Yeah.
His name was Justin Braun. So to have the last name Braun, you have to be a lifter. Yeah, there was no way that you couldn't. He actually went on to become the head strength coach at Montana State University, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So he did it with me, and we had a whole freezer packed full of beef. We had nothing in our fridge except for water and beef in our fridge, and then like a giant thing of mustard. That was all in our apartment.
Some salt, right? You get salt. Some salt. Salt it. That's it.
And some salt. And I did this carnivore diet for 2.5 weeks. And I went from I think I was like 242. I went from like 242 to 220. So I basically dropped a whole weight class. So when I weighed in for my competition, I weighed 220.
Yeah.
And it was kind of because I had a lot of fat to lose. I was holding a lot of water weight. Your first 8 pounds are going to be water. But after you lose 20 pounds, you're like,
in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, you lose like 22 pounds. You're like, wait a second. Well, like I said, literally the first 3 days were like 12 pounds because it just all flooded out of me, And then also, what a lot of people don't understand is like you have to be in a calorie deficit. There is no hocus pocus magic diet. The ketogenic diet doesn't offer any metabolic advantage over a regular diet. As far as we know right now, a carnivore diet doesn't really hold any metabolic advantage. The thing that it does so uniquely, it offers our body every single nutrient that our body needs in more absorbable forms than you can find them in plant foods, right? Because we can eat all these things that are made out of plants. We don't absorb them. So who cares what you're eating if you can't absorb it? Right?
Were you hungry when you were doing this in the 2.5 weeks? Were you still hungry, or did you feel full? Or
I wasn't, because I was like in such a sort of like full bore attitude that I was like, I'm going to go in this competition. I'm going to do this. And I didn't know any better. And so like now with all the information flying around and YouTube and everything, like I'll hear one thing from one expert and then I'll try it for like 2 days. And then the next day I'll hear like, oh, that's bullshit.
I know. I hear that all the time too.
And I just
kind of know what to believe. And that's why it's personal experience. I feel like that's to your point earlier, like shit that works for one guy isn't going to work for the next guy potentially, So you can't.
And I'll tell you, here's what I noticed on a carnivore diet. So I was talking to you before about sweeteners and different like sodas and different things. They have these sodas that have like sweeteners in them, like stevia. Like there's a company called Zevia, and their soda's great. Like I love it. Yeah. But I don't drink it often. And the reason I don't drink it often is, and like I was drinking a Gatorade Zero before. Yeah. I'm like, well, I don't really agree that this has aspartame in it, but like I was thirsty and I just wanted Gatorade over water. So I just had it this one time, but I don't normally have it. You know, and I think that that's like an important thing to grasp about like the carnivore diet and why it works is like, if you were to just take yourself, it's almost like think about going on a fast, but you can basically, you're on a fast, but you can eat as much as you want. You can basically eat as much meat as you want of any kind of meat. It doesn't need to be red meat, but red meat has all the nutrients in it. So when I say nutrients, just so people understand, I'm talking about macronutrients, which is protein and fat. We don't need carbohydrates. We do need carbohydrates. I should correct myself. There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate that our body can't make. So our body makes glucose as needed. So if you need glucose, you can make it out of protein. You can make it, your body will make it. And I think that that's like an important concept to grasp. Like, listen, you're not missing anything. You're actually getting more of everything in more doses that are easy to absorb. So as you're eating like other inferior foods to steak and red meat, you're basically going away from health, not towards it. Now you could go towards it so much that you have too many nutrients, but it's really hard to eat that much meat. So like, as far as I've seen in any like functional human being, I've not seen people able to overeat on meat and gain
because you get
a lot of body
faster,
fat.
Basically. I
have seen people gain weight. So I won't say like you can't gain weight on a carnivore diet.
Yeah. But
it's pretty hard.
There's a lot of people doing it.
So you can gain muscle.
Dr. Drew's doing it.
Yeah.
And he lost a ton of weight from what I listened.
Guess why Dr. Drew's doing it? Because I was on his podcast.
I heard, that's what I heard. I think that's where I had heard it.
But it's Mike. And I don't think it's for everybody. Like you're in pretty good shape, but you just told me like, hey, I want to get rid of this dad bod.
Totally. I've been doing CrossFit in Vacaville for 2 months now.
So I'd say, hey, all right, Shane, cool. For 2 months, we're going to do like going into summer here. We're going to hop you on a carnivore diet. But I know you have kids and I know you're married and like, I know that like you don't want to get crazy with it. You still want to have a relationship with your family. So listen, man, you can have whatever you want like once a week. Then you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'll plan like Sunday pizza with the kids or whatever. Yeah. And I'll have that. And and everything else is
as long as I can do, what do they call the In and Out again?
The Flying Dutchman.
The Flying Dutchman. You post them on. I'm like, damn, that looks good. Dude, I want to see that.
See, that's the thing is like, you got to find ways to make it sustainable. Now, a lot of people will talk to me about like factory farming and like, oh, like In and Out, they get their beef from blah, blah.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people go to In and Out every day?
A lot.
Yeah.
Got lines wrapped around the parking lot.
And guess how many are going to die? All of them. Guess how many people that don't go to In and Out every day are going to die? All of them.
Yeah. Same thing.
And the longest lived person in the history of the world is 126 years old. Why do we think that we're going to all of a sudden surpass that? I hear people all the time in the biohacking world talking about living to be 140 years old and 180 years old. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, why?
I don't know if I'd want to live that long. It's a long time.
What do you do?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
What do you do? You're like 160 and you still got 20 years left.
It's a lot.
You know,
what about Bang Energies, man? That's one thing for me that I like the bangs, man.
Here's what I was going with all this stuff with sweeteners and all these things. The more that we have them, first of all, Bang is a great energy drink, and it has caffeine and some creatine in it and some things that it's a good like little pre-workout thing. But yeah, it's got aspartame and it's got sucralose or whatever they use to sweeten it. And I would say the concern for me, much more than like cancer or any sort of thing that this is going to cause in your body, my main concern is that you're going to be attracted to it because it's sweet. And maybe sweet isn't something we should be associating with. There really isn't anything like that's that sweet in nature. And the things that are sweet are like fruit. And
it's like naturally sweet.
But most fruit that we as human beings have ever eaten has been sweetened. And I'd say pretty much all vegetables that we eat have been manipulated and they're not GMOs, but they're definitely modified.
Yeah.
Broccoli comes from kale, and cauliflower comes from kale. Like these things are bred together. And so like most of the vegetables we eat are fake. They're man-made. I should say they're not GMOs, but they're man-made. They don't exist in nature. Like broccoli doesn't just grow.
Yeah.
It doesn't just grow somewhere. Like, no, they made those seeds. They made it. So people think they're eating all these natural foods and all these things that are great for them. But plants have so many toxins that they send out also that rob our body of minerals. So if I eat a bunch of red meat and then I go eat a bunch of greens eat a bunch of spinach with it, right? Spinach has what's called oxalates in it, and oxalates will leach calcium out of your bones. So I just had all this red meat, got all these great nutrients. Now I have what's called an anti-nutrient pulling calcium out of my bones. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
And well, why is that? Well, because herbivores are made to eat plants. Carnivores are made to eat meat. I believe that we came along as a mostly carnivorous animal. That's why we grew bigger brains. That's why we were smarter than other animals and things like that. And but there isn't a whole lot of proof behind a lot of this stuff. So it's like I don't get too dogmatic about it. I just go, you know what?
Yeah.
I think it kind of makes sense that but
it's worked for you.
Well, look, if we've been eating meat for millions of years,
yeah,
that's like why like, why change it? You know, and I know we've done the same thing with meat, because we'll get the arguments on the other side. Well, they've manipulated the meat. They made the meat fattier. They've done this. They've done that.
Yeah.
But still, with all the things that they've done to the meat, we haven't seen it affect health outcomes in the same way that we've seen it with other things.
So what about like, so one thing that you pointed out that I really liked was that you said when you make your documentaries, or at least in Bigger, Stronger, Faster, I think, you didn't necessarily have an agenda and a message to flow. That, to me, that's art. So you have something you're interested in. There's things that you're exploring. You're trying to talk to different people, and then at the end, you're going to compile all that stuff together, and that's the art of it to me.
Yeah.
A lot of these other ones, they have an agenda behind them already, and so the only reason I'm bringing this up right now is because, like, the meat industry, you're saying, and I'm not an expert on it, but I know there's some videos out there that have a specific. Yeah. And I'm not going to even. Yeah.
Yeah. If my film comes along and, you know, comes out, my newest film, and it ends up that the result is, hey, I did all this and I got really sick and now I'm on a vegan diet and that's the way to go. Yeah. Then that's the way the movie goes.
That's it.
That's it. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
When I did my movie about Kratom, I had a company helping me with it, helping me make the movie, helping fund it, helping get it made. The company Urban Ice Organics, which I'm very grateful to. They're a great company. And they only produce Kratom, tested and quality tested.
He was in the movie, right?
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
His name's Kelly Dunn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's the owner of Urban Ice, and he's awesome. And we are still working with him on some different projects and like keeping Kratom legal and all these like things that are bigger than just like selling a brand.
Well, and I loved what he was saying in there was that obviously there's issues with the FDA and the DEA. There's that side of it, but to his point, and I'm sure you guys have probably talked a lot about this before. It was more to the point of the community around Kratom getting behind it and changing that aspect of it. And once that starts to move, the other pieces can fall into place or grow. Yeah. I thought that was a really good point.
And just so people are aware, the problems that we're talking about with Kratom are the FDA and the DEA don't like it because it's a plant. It's not standardized. There's no dosages that they know about. Yeah. It hasn't really been researched enough. So what I always default to is like, hey, look, I understand that this plant may not be perfect. I understand that there might be problems. Like there can be people that get addicted to it, but I'll explain why in a second. But when we see something that's saving all these lives and helping all these people, like I get emails every day, I get tons of them. And out of 100 emails I get a day, maybe one will be negative. So it's like, where do you find
people sharing what their
experiences with it or whatever. Yeah. And so when you're like looking at it, and the ones that are bad always make you mad, and you'll spend the most time trying to reply to them. And then like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I'll just delete what I was going to write. And I'll write, hey, sorry you feel that way, and just like move on. Cause I'll be blasting somebody out like, hey, you don't even know what you're talking about. And then I'm like, that's not worth it. Like, it's like, who cares? Just because they came at me rude, I don't have to come back at them rude.
There's a comedian, Mark Lundholm, and he actually really inspired me. I met him in treatment. He came in. And one of his biggest sayings is first thought wrong. He would say second thought wrong. And I always remember that because that's like that initial reaction when I want to do stuff. It's a switch for me, and I can go, and I'll start doing that too. Start writing something or saying something. Go, wait a minute. I don't even have to waste my energy on that shit right now. Let me just move on.
Why am I wasting my energy? Nobody even knows who this guy, like you don't even know who they are. They're just a random name on it. Yeah. And then like you click their profile and you see this private account. Yeah. And you're like, why does social media even allow that? Like, I'm going to have an account, but it's only for me. Well, then don't show it to anybody. Don't show it to anybody. Yeah. Don't let anybody go and, it's like, if it's private, then like it's private. You just have to send a request.
So let's say this real quick, just for somebody out there who has never heard of Kratom, it's like, Kratom, what the hell are they talking about? Like, what is Kratom real fast? I know you've touched on it a couple times.
It's a plant from Southeast Asia that's in the coffee family.
Okay.
The plant is called Mitragyna speciosa. Is also known as a kratom tree or plant. In Southeast Asia, they'll have like, in the backyard, maybe they have a kratom tree, and they'll have, the grandmother or the mother, matriarch of the family, a lot of times will go out and grab a bunch of leaves and throw it in a pot of boiling water and steep it, and like, just like making tea or whatever. Yeah. and they'll take the extract, and make a tea that the family will drink all day and just feel good.
Yeah.
Everybody feels happy. So the real reason why they started using it over in Thailand and Southeast Asia and stuff like that is because people were out working in the fields, and they would go out and they'd work 8 hours in the fields, and they'd be beat afterwards. They'd be like, I'm done. I can't do anything. They would they would chew on raw kratom leaves, and they'd work 12, 15 hours, not even notice it.
Really?
And then what's really interesting is like some of the studies that were done back then, because people think that the studies are like, oh, if you look at the studies, it causes your skin to darken. Well, no, it doesn't cause your skin to darken. It's these people are out in the fields for like 15 hours a day in the hot blazing, 90 degrees sun of 95 degrees every day in Thailand. Like, I don't know if it caused their skin to darken or if they just got a tan because they were out longer, right? So there's a lot of like misrepresentation around kratom. So the other thing is like they sell it in head shops. Yeah. And it's like, when is the last time, especially as a, sober guy, when's the last time you walk into a head shop?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
There's no reason to go in there. So since there's no reason to go in there, as a clean guy, you're going to feel bad going in there. And secondly, like it all has a stigma. So if you're the sober guy and you walk and you see, well, hey bro, like you don't know much about it. Somebody comes into a meeting, they're taking kratom and they're like, young kid, and they're trying to take it to help me. You're probably gonna be like, hey man, like, I don't know. Like that doesn't sound good. Yeah. It doesn't sound like something that, you should be taking because you don't understand it. Yeah. And I think like once you understand it, it's a different level. To me, I think the important thing, so I'll explain exactly the reason I took it. I got sober and I was still in a lot of pain. To me, it makes sense. It's safer than Advil, safer than Tylenol. We have a lot of deaths, 1,600 deaths every year associated with Tylenol, Advil, things like that. With kratom, nobody's actually ever died from it. The FDA had come up with this list of like 91 deaths. They're all polypharmacy. They all include other drugs. There's actually like one or two that don't, and the one or two that don't are interesting because look, I'll accept it if there's a death from kratom. I'll be the first one to be like, yeah, there was a death. There's one case that I'm a little suspect of though, because I don't consider it dying from kratom because it could have been cinnamon. It could have been, they did that cinnamon challenge on the internet. Right. And like people have died from that or people got really sick from it or whatever. So the same thing kind of happened with kratom is like kratom is not water soluble. It's fat soluble. Yeah. So if you just dump it in your mouth, it's going to be like dumping sand in your mouth. It's not going to like dissolve or anything. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to sit there and be all dry and gross. You
can't even swallow. It's probably really tough too. Yeah.
And that's why they did that cinnamon challenge. People get these big blobs of cinnamon, and they would throw up and everything. And basically the guy was doing what they call toss and wash with kratom. So a lot of kratom comes in capsules, but it also comes in like powder. And what I find interesting is that addicts like the powder. I don't know why, but former addicts like the powder. Yeah. Most normal people have never been addicted to drugs or had any problem. They'll just take the capsules. Yeah. But for some reason, addicts like taking the powder and putting in, a lot of kratom. They'll use it.
What do they put it in? Like
usually water, but people are dumb. I keep telling people like, hey, look, put it in milk or coconut milk and it'll dissolve right away because it's fat soluble. Got it. So you put it in something or coffee with cream in it. Put it like a scoop. Like you only need like one scoop of it. People take way too much of it. Yeah. And I think that's the problem with it. That's like the education that needs to come about because if I can explain it really quick, there's two alkaloids in kratom that are really powerful. There's 7-hydroxymetragenine, and there's another one called metragenine. The 7-hydroxymetragenine is just a byproduct of the drying process. So when they take the leaves and they dry them, it creates this alkaloid. Okay. That alkaloid's highly addictive, but it's such a small amount in the plant that you basically have to take so much of the plant that it's almost like I was saying, it's like almost like eating too much meat. It's kind of hard to. But people seem to manage to because people definitely develop dependencies on it. Yeah. People definitely like every time I say, hey man, you're writing me saying that you're addicted to kratom and you want to know how to get off of it and whatever, but you're like, how much are you taking? Yeah. And it always comes back 20 or 30 grams. Really? And I said, well, I take 5 grams and I'm in a lot of pain. I know I'm in more pain than you. Yeah. Like I know it.
So they're way overdoing it.
Yeah. I'll take like five, maybe 10 grams tops in a day, and they're taking double, triple that, and so like that's to me, that's just
So what about
crazy.
for someone
But even addiction, I should just say, even the withdrawal symptoms when you get off of Kratom should really be no greater than coffee, than the withdrawal symptoms you get from coffee.
Got it. Well, so what I was going to say, so I had a rotator cuff underneath surgery in my early 20s for playing baseball, right?
Sure.
Played baseball all as a kid, growing up through high school, tore that, jacked it all up. So like, for instance, I mentioned going back into CrossFit in the last 2 months, right? A lot of the overhead stuff, my mobility, like I can't get my arms back. And a lot of it is, continuing to be able to stretch and work that stuff out too, but I still get pain in that. Mm-hmm. If I took 5 grams of Kratom, would that help with pain for something like? And I'm just using this as an example for somebody.
It's hard to say because it's going to be like subjective for each injury and whatever. Yeah. But for the most part, most likely it would help you. Yeah. It would make you feel better. I don't know if it would get rid of your shoulder pain, but it would definitely dampen it. What it really works good on, the way I feel like it's just amazing for, is if you have that like deep achy pain, and that's what I have. I have arthritis. And so it's like this deep aching pain. Yeah. And I take that and it all goes away. But I also get brain fog. I also get, where I'm, sometimes like I'm just cloudy in my head, like I'm not focused, whatever. And it really helps with focus and it really helps, define. So for me, what I find really interesting is like my whole transformation of lifting, training, carnivore diet, all these things came about because of Kratom.
Wow.
And so I can't really say like, hey, look, Kratom will help you lose weight. Kratom will help you lose weight, but it's I forgot what I was going to say because my dad just came in and handed me a note.
I was gonna tell you, but one of my favorite parts in Leaf of Faith was your dad's hat.
Oh yeah, the Make America Great hat.
Yeah, I loved it.
So our family takes a lot of heat for that.
Really?
Well, my dad is a big Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And he just often takes a lot of heat for it. My brother just went and met with Donald Trump Jr. in New York, who's a big fan of Marx, which is funny.
Really?
And, Mark's like, the guy's a fan of mine. What am I going to tell the president's son? No. Like, no, I'm going to go visit him. I'm going to support it. And so, like, yeah, it's just that's kind of a funny aside, especially living in California.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't even share my thoughts on it.
Yeah. I try to do the same thing too.
I don't necessarily feel the same way that they do, but I also don't have hate in my heart for anybody.
I think that we in this country, we should have a freedom of choice and a freedom of opinion. And regardless if we disagree on something, we respect that. And it's gotten to a point where you can't even do that anymore. It seems like, at least on that topic.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that either.
I would say that people, like, I would get more upset with somebody that was like trying to argue with me about a vegan diet being healthy. I'd be way more mad at that. I'd be way more mad at that because I get in those conversations every day.
Oh, I'm sure. And what is that? What do you get? What do you hear from that?
Well, like, people say you're going to die from your cholesterol is going to go crazy. This is going to happen. My good cholesterol is jacked up. It's like 90. It's like so high, my HDL.
Yeah.
My LDL is around 150, which a lot of people say, oh, that's so high, whatever. That's not even really that high. It's 150, but my triglycerides are like, 70, 80 too.
Yeah.
And so when your triglycerides are low and your HDL is high, you're good for the most part.
You're balanced somewhat.
But like blood work doesn't also like blood work. People are so blinded by the fact that they think blood work is going to tell you if you're going to have a heart attack or not. It's just an indicator that maybe there might be something going on. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get that or not get that. And so it's good to follow the science. It's good to like look at the blood work and be concerned if there's a lot of things out of range and out of whack. But it's also not like, it's also a snapshot in time. It's not set in stone.
Sure.
So we get a lot of arguments about that. We get a lot of arguments like, hey, the saturated fat's going to kill you. It's like, look, the FDA is taking cholesterol off of its list of things to be concerned about. Why are you still concerned about it?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, because the FDA is wrong. It's like,
and it's almost like there's this, it's a confusing thing because you mentioned it earlier. It's constant. You hear one thing one day and then you hear a completely different thing the next day. And you never know. I guess that's to your own experience, right? I can only share with somebody my own experience, whether it's diet, recovery. I mean, what's worked for me,
Yeah. You can't share something you haven't been through.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's something that I think is interesting too, because like when I was in,
are you good on time, by the way, too, or do you need to
in a little bit, but
cool.
when I went to, when I went to rehab, we had a guy who was one of our counselors that was never an addict, and just nobody listened to him. People made fun. I was nice to him because I was like, this guy went to school for this.
Yeah.
You know, he's just whatever.
It's hard to relate.
He wasn't an addict, and people like he got made fun of so bad. Like I've never seen anything like it.
Really?
And there was just times where I was like, I would get mad because like, dude, I would get mad at the kids in recovery with me because I was like, you guys don't want to get better. Yeah. You're sitting here. All you can do is sit here and talk shit about the guy trying to help us, rather than just listen to him. Let him go through his shit. Yeah. And if you think it's bullshit, just don't listen. Who cares? Like. But you're making it worse for everybody else by, making jokes or trying to be funny, and you're not funny. So it's like, just shut up.
Did you do 30 days?
90.
90.
Yeah. I think time is important.
Yeah.
I think that, we've seen this on a keto and carnivore diet where people go on it for like 30 days and they get all excited and they tell all their friends, and then 31 days in, they're done, and it's like, that's it. And so I think if you carry something through for over, I think they say it takes like 66 days, and that's probably just a random, number that.
But you could gain a lot of weight. This is from what I've heard on the keto if you're not following it to a T, right? I mean, if you're kind of
I would argue that because I would say, well, you're not on a keto diet then.
Because you're not doing it.
You're not doing it right. Yeah. So the problem with here's the problem with a ketogenic diet is that you can do it wrong. The problem with a vegan diet is you can do it wrong. The great thing about a carnivore diet, you cannot mess it up.
Just meat.
Well, if I even get more specific and say red meat and water, and I say how much, I'd be like, eat as much as you want. Eat as much as you can. Just don't do it. What happens is, and when I say eat as much as you can, people be like, oh, you can't do that. You'll gain weight. Listen, eat as much as you can in the beginning. And what happens is your body just starts getting used to how much meat you need and how much meat you don't need. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. And your body gets used to it and it starts figuring it out. And then you start providing yourself with the right amounts, and then you start getting leaner. Yeah. And if you're not, then you just go, okay, well, I'm just going to portion control a little bit.
Yeah. I probably should have done this at the beginning of the show, but I'm going to do it now real quick. So I wanted to mention, I'd reached out to you a few months ago, I think before we did the first show down in LA. That's originally where I think I'd heard the first podcast was with Dr. Drew and Mike on Swole Patrol.
Yeah, Swole Patrol.
And so I said, man, I really love this. I reached out to you. We never ended up connecting. Some time went through. I kind of forgot about it. And then I get this email like 2 weeks ago, right? And here's what the email said. It's from a guy named Paul. And he says, hey, I'm sure you've touched on this in an episode, but I wanted to know your thoughts on Kratom. I'm a recovering alcoholic. When I first got sober, I used Kratom as kind of a replacement until I realized that all I was doing was switching addictions. But then I read how it truly does help with opioid addictions and it's safer than methadone. So I was just wondering your thoughts and if there's a specific episode that discusses it. Well, Paul, here you go. We're discussing it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that.
What was the methadone part of it?
He said, I just read about how it truly does help with opioid addictions and it's safer than methadone.
Yeah.
So safer than methadone.
If you look at, there is a thing online, it's on YouTube. It's Dr. Chris McCurdy, which is McCurdy. He's out of the University of Florida, and he's actually, I think, over in Thailand giving a speech, but he doesn't give a whole lot of speeches. So there's like a 50-minute interview, like on YouTube. It's 50 minutes. It's with Dr. McCurdy. I think if they just look it up, they'll be able to find it. I can maybe send you a link to it, and you can include it in the show notes or whatever. But basically, this thing that Dr. McCurdy did is like they did a study putting Kratom up against methadone and up against Suboxone and I think Narcan to see like how fast it would mitigate the withdrawal effects and how fast it would work, And basically, it came out the same.
Really?
But a lot cheaper. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it. A lot safer, a lot cheaper, natural. I also don't think that just because something's natural means it's safe, but I do think that it gives it a lot more credibility towards being safe.
Yeah.
Nobody's really trying to cover up or hide something in something that's natural. Whereas like with a lot of these drugs, they know like, yeah, we know it kind of gives people heart attacks, but we're just going to like leave that out of the literature.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
It doesn't really that doesn't really happen with plants.
One of my other,
as far as I've seen, I mean, it could.
One of my other buddies, Sean B, he was actually the first one who I had heard of the word kratom, like probably a year ago maybe, and I said, what the hell is that? But he wanted to know he had 3 questions here, which is kind of funny. And Sean's off the hook, man. I love the dude. Remember we were talking about those guys we know that like are really smart, but they're just kind of fucking weird and crazy. Yeah. Sean's totally one of these dudes. He said, what other natural herbs or remedies has Chris become aware of or into? If you could pick any superpower, what would it be, and what's your shoe size?
Yeah. Okay. So,
any other natural herbs or remedies?
Yeah, I think a carnivore diet's a remedy for pain. So that's another thing I wanted to touch on that we didn't get. There's just too much to talk about. It's like,
we're already an hour and 20 minutes in, and I feel the same.
It's crazy.
Way.
Well, we could do it again too. Yeah. But I think so. Carnivore diet, ketogenic and carnivore diets, both of them can really reduce inflammation. Inflammation is part of every disease. It's at the core of every disease, at the center of every disease. If you look at cancer, inflammation's there. You look at anything. Anytime you're in pain, there's usually inflammation with it, right? And so by eating in this way, meat doesn't cause us to hold water. It doesn't cause our joints to inflame. Whereas like a lot of these grains and other foods cause inflammation, especially seed oils. One of the number one. So this is really interesting, but like back in like the 50s, I think seed oil was maybe like, it would be like 0.5% of the human diet, like would be from like vegetable and seed oils, like canola oil, corn oil, whatever. That's now up to 8% of the diet. It's like 8% of the American diet is just vegetable oil, which is so inflammatory and so bad for you. And that's what shreds our arteries. So people think that animal fat shreds our arteries. You're completely wrong.
Really?
It's these industrial seed oils. You can't even call them vegetable oil because vegetable oil is a cute name that some brilliant scientist came up with to make it sound like it's healthy.
Yeah.
So they call it vegetable oil. Because if I told you like, hey, Shane, you want some industrial seed oil? You'd be like, nah, dude, I'm good, But that's what it is. It's industrial grade seed oil. And it's like, it's really, really inflammatory.
Yeah.
And it's shredding people's arteries. And then our cholesterol that we eat from the meat goes in and actually patches up these shreds.
From the oil.
These shreds from our, so like say your artery is shredded, and then you go in with like some rubber cement and spread it over that. That's what cholesterol is like. Cholesterol is actually trying to heal you.
Really?
It's trying to help you. There's cholesterol in every single cell in our body. So why would we try to get rid of cholesterol? Yeah. It's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and the oil is in everything too,
and
right?
People with higher cholesterol levels, this is like ironic. It's another way the food industry, the whole world, doctors, medical industry is so backwards. Is like we've done studies that conclude that the people with higher cholesterol levels, especially women, live longer. Why are we worried that our people's cholesterol is too high?
Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't seem to make sense. It seems more like we should be looking at the things like the inflammation and these other things. So while a carnivore diet, by just eating meat, not eating any sort of diet where you completely cut carbs, is going to cut inflammation.
Well, you said joint pain too, right?
Yeah, joint pain has been the increase. So if you go back and look, I think like a year ago, I think the most I could deadlift was maybe like 400 and something pounds, and then I did a competition, like 6 months ago. I did like a 530 pound deadlift, but then I just did a trap bar deadlift, which is like a little bit different kind of bar.
Yeah.
And I did a 700 pound trap bar deadlift. And so like to watch the weights go up like that and not be on steroids and not be taking performance enhancing drugs and just be on meat. And that's what I'm doing. To me, that's pretty incredible.
It is.
I don't say that it like, hey, meat holds any magical powers. Because the other thing I think that people should know and be very aware of is that weight loss in general, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, they always say, right?
Yeah.
Which is a weird saying, by the way.
It is.
Kind of gross.
It is.
But they're it's like people say that all the time, but there's a lot of ways to lose weight. Most of them are effective as long as you're in a calorie deficit, but a calorie deficit's so hard when you're eating Hostess cherry pies. Why? They're addictive.
Yeah.
So you don't just eat one. You just told me before you eat two.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. And so,
why not?
And so like if you just ate one and it was once every month or something, it probably wouldn't do much to you at all.
Yeah.
It'd be like you wouldn't think. I think people don't think of their calories over the course of they don't think of they think of it in the course of a day, but not in the course of a week and a year. And if you think of your calories in the course of a year, and you were like to add it up, you would be shocked at how many calories you would be saving by going on like one of these diets.
What's normal calorie base for you, or for just a grown man or a grown woman?
It's going to change. Everybody's metabolic rate is going to be different. Mine is like around 3,500. Like I can eat around 3,500 calories a day and, still lose weight. The problem is I hate counting calories, so I never actually do it. So I don't know how many calories. Like if I'm losing weight, I know I feel better,
Yeah.
But I don't count anything just because I don't like doing it.
So my wife, they just, she was doing very simple, a shake, she had her little lunch thing, and then she went and she did her body weight. They're doing a weight loss challenge at the gym, right? In Vacaville. And so she jumped in on it, and then she went to get her the body machine that scans your body fat and all that stuff, right? And they gave her a meal plan, and they did a very thorough job on the meal plan, everything, grammed out. This many grams of fat, this many grams of protein, but you need to eat 6 times a day. Yeah. And it's like, it's almost, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's almost like it's too much. It's really more hard to follow for her, especially, and me too. I tried it before.
A lot of these diets and a lot of these kind of bodybuilding diets and physique changing diets, they're trying to stoke your metabolism. They're trying to get you to eat a little bit of food, be really hungry, make it to the next meal. But you're really at an advantage, especially for somebody like you, and especially in this situation that you're in, being in recovery and everything. I think that like intermittent fasting with some sort of carnivore, low carb, or ketogenic diet is like, that's where it's at.
Really?
I think that's where all the research is heading and where everything's going. Because what you're doing is like, think about this. We just eat all the time.
Yeah.
And we never really have time to like let our bodies digest, and then we go to sleep, we wake up, we eat again. But what if you just tacked on like 2 hours before you went to bed? You sleep for 8 hours, so you're up to 10. And then 2 hours after you wake up, now you're at 12. You basically fasted half the day.
Yeah.
Right? You fasted half the day. Imagine if you add that up over the course of your life and you said, I only eat, I think it's more, the number's more like 16. I think even getting like 16-hour fasts a day, you'll just get shredded.
Yeah.
Like you're already lean. So like you would get really lean even if you weren't on a carnivore diet. Like even if you weren't restricted, because it would restrict your calories automatically. Think of those things. And then think about like, how do I, restrict my calories automatically, but I'm going to be starving. No, you're not, because we're going to change your foods up. We're going to give you like eggs and avocado for breakfast instead of like what you normally eat. And you're not going to be hungry because you're not, carbs beget carbs. That's like all there is to it. So I get up in the morning and I eat a piece of toast. I'm going to want a piece of toast in an hour because carbs, like they make you hungry.
Yeah. You're still hungry.
I don't care who you are. Like, I don't think anybody's immune to it. And the more refined and processed the carbs are, the more we want them.
So bread at all, just bread. I mean, bread's like the enemy, right? Pretty in a sense.
I don't like to make any food to be out to be the bad guy or the enemy. I don't.
But too much of it.
I don't like scaring people into like anything. But I don't eat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, I guess that's the way I like to frame things to people is like, hey man, like I had an ex-girlfriend who could walk into a bikini competition any day and blow everybody away. She never worked out. She ate French toast sticks and bagels, like the worst diet ever.
Yeah.
And she looked amazing.
Genetics.
Maybe. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't think that you should eat that. Like, what level of anything do I have? Like, how can I say that given when she's 60 years old, she'll probably be falling apart because of all the bad things and that's the calamity that we're coming up against is that, you and I might have smoked and drank, but we did it for a short period of time. These people are insulting their body every single day with every single thing they put in their mouth. And once you become what's called insulin resistant, it means that you're not using your fat storage hormone insulin properly. It means that you start storing everything as fat.
Yeah.
So the story of the mom who only eats 1,000 calories a day, like my mom who's next door, she doesn't eat a lot of food, but she's become insulin resistant, and now it's hard for her to lose weight. So what we did is we put her on a keto diet. and she did that for a while. She got what's called keto adapted, and you switch over from burning carbohydrates for fuel to burning fat for fuel. Actually, Joe Rogan was just talking about this on his podcast yesterday. The people that burn sugar for their fuel is like 90% of the people in America. They're always hungry.
Yeah.
They're starving all that. Why do you think kids are hungry all the time? They eat so many carbs. Right? So like it's just like, look, I think if you were to tell people, Shane, I'll tell you this for a fact. If you were to do like intermittent fasting, like 16 hours a day, and look at it like sobriety.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a sobriety that like happens every day. So it's like, look at it as a sobriety. I can't eat during this time. Well, you can't drink during that time either because you're not allowed to drink anymore.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to use drugs anymore either. The way I look at it is like, well, what's food? It's the same thing. It's a pleasure-seeking thing.
It is.
So let's turn it into not a pleasure-seeking thing. Let's just turn it into food. Let's turn it into as a tool to get me to the next day.
What about coffee during that fasting time? You can have a cup of coffee in the morning.
Look, bro, coffee's addictive, man. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
It is too.
I think
I love some coffee
is one of the most interesting things on the planet. It's like, man, we have come up with this fuel that basically the whole world is hooked on and nobody can see past it. And I think that's like one of our big problems. Like if you can't, like, okay, if I came in with, I don't know, $1 billion and a product like Kratom, I could make this just as big as coffee. It's going to take a while. It's going to take some products. But I'm telling you, I know the way that this makes people feel.
Yeah.
It makes me feel way better than coffee.
Yeah.
It's just about designing the drink that tastes good.
But it's not like
everybody wants.
You described it though. It's not like a high though, right? It's more just
I think
like
it feels like a runner's high. It feels euphoric. It feels like a workout. It feels like more like that. But you know, you'll get different people describing it different ways, just like everything else. AA and every sobriety place that you go to, like any sort of rehab you go to, they're going to have a different definition of what sober is.
Sure.
So I know people who are sober that smoke weed every day. Now, other people might not consider them sober, but I do because I say, well, they did the work they needed to do for them and they're doing good and it's not affecting their life.
Yeah.
I personally don't judge people. I try not to judge anybody.
Sure.
But I try to judge people by the rules I would want to be judged by.
Yeah.
And the rules I want to be judged by is like, okay, Chris Bell used to do these things and X, Y, Z was bad for him. He discontinued X, Y, and Z and no longer is doing those things. But now he's doing this other thing over here.
Yeah.
Well, he never had a problem with that other thing, so I don't care. I would maybe, as a friend, be like, hey, bud, you know, you had a problem over here. Maybe you should think about over here. And that's okay. But I wouldn't, it's not judging. That's just like being being concerned for a friend maybe, or saying like, hey, maybe you should think this through. And if the friend says back to me, I did think it through. I made a documentary about it. I'd say, oh, okay. Like, I guess you know what you're talking about. And I mean, that's the level of detail that I go into on these things, you know? So we're making a movie now about a ketogenic carnivore diet. Basically, we don't even know what it is yet because like you said, we didn't start with an agenda. I started out, I was like, I'm too fat. I need to lose weight. I got to get this off of me. And the only thing I knew about that I had done in the past was ketogenic diets. I'd done them my whole life. Yeah. So I'm like, I've tried this before and whatever. And you know what's funny is like we were talking about doing it wrong before. I was doing it wrong the whole time.
The keto diet.
Yeah, I kept doing it wrong. I kept eating way too much fat.
Yeah.
I kept not eating enough protein. I kept, you know, all these different things.
And that's what made you gain the weight?
Beauty of beauty of, well, what kept me gaining the weight is I had this mentality I think everybody has, and that's why I'm careful about cheat days. I used to cheat a lot. And I think cheating's just bullshit on a diet. Yeah. It's like you're not allowed to cheat on your wife. You know, you're not allowed to cheat on your sobriety. Why can you cheat on your diet? And it's totally fine. Oh, because I'm just human. What if I was like, yo, Shane, you know what? Yeah. I know we're both sober and we just had a beer together. Let's just like forget about it.
It's a cheat day.
It's a cheat day, man. Like it's like, or like,
that's a good point.
You know, where people hear this podcast and then they see me and you out at a bar and we're hammered and we're high and we're like, yeah, bro, it's our cheat day. Don't worry about it. Like,
I'll be sober tomorrow, bro.
Yeah. And think about that.
That'd be terrible.
And so I actually, what I'm doing even with this movie, trying to do it in a way that's like a little bit more subtle, probably. And maybe it won't be subtle. Maybe there's no reason for it to be subtle, but I actually want to develop kind of a step system for people getting out of being depressed, being fat, being in pain.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro.
You know, and when I say being fat, I don't mean to fat shame people. I mean, people don't like it.
Sure.
Like people know that they're overweight. And when they say that they're happy, like I'm really happy with, like, no, come on, bro. Yeah. Like I know that there are very select few people that can walk around with their shirt off and be, 300 pounds overweight and hairy and not have a problem with it. But for the most part, people are going to be self-conscious about it.
Well, I think like there's a physical aspect to it. And then, like you said, the depression, the emotional aspect that ties into that is not a fun way to live.
And Mark and I always talk about fat being a mindset.
Yeah. Like
sometimes you'll say like, oh, that's so fat. You don't actually mean it literally. You mean it like that mindset is broken.
Yeah.
That mindset's, like somebody that's,
What about your superpower?
Oh,
What's your superpower?
Yeah. I usually say teleporting because, but I don't live in LA anymore. Like, or right now, I don't live in LA. So teleporting wouldn't be as useful in Sacramento because you don't really need it as much. Yeah. The other thing, oh man, superpowers are tough because, like, what would you do with a suit? Like, okay, you and I trying to be sober, trying to make the world a better place. What could we do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, is healing people a superpower? Sure. But see, like, I think that would then make me more of like a deity, like a god. And then like, I don't want to be looked at as that. Yeah. I don't want to see myself. Maybe my superpower would be if I could just go tap somebody on the back and they can get out of pain, even if it doesn't help me. Just knowing that I could do that and just lay my hands on them. Yeah. And maybe say a little prayer or something. And they're done. That'd be good. And you could heal somebody like Wolverine. Yeah. But I don't want to heal myself. I want to help other people. Yeah. Because I feel like that's what we owe back. And that's what we were saying earlier. That's the 12th step. If we could take those people, those loved ones we have, friends, family, that would be an amazing superpower. Yeah. Hey, Dad, how you doing? I'm just. Yeah. You're good. Or even just like, what if you could just even reduce their afflictions by 50%? That'd be amazing. Or something. Just like take the stress, like, hey, look, and go. And it's like, and maybe you only get like one a day. Yeah, that's it. So you got to be careful who you spend it on. Or maybe it's only like one a month. And what about if you could just get people out of their own head? So let me get you out of your own head. Right Man, now. If you could do that, see, like all these things though, what superpower, maybe his question should be modified. What superpower would you have and how would you avoid abusing it? Because I think that's the problem. Right? Like it's like addiction. Well, it's addiction, right? Like if I gave you a superpower, what would it be? Yeah. I don't know. Anything. I'd want to surf too. That's one of my big things that I still haven't accomplished yet. The worst superpower to have would be like the ability to drink or take pills and not get messed up from it. Not have to go to rehab. Yeah, well, it'd be terrible. I wouldn't last long. It could be fun, but you know where those things always lead. Always, you know. Yep. Yeah, man. What are we at, dude? Yeah, man. That's good, man. What time is it? 6 o'clock, dude. This has been good stuff, bro. I've really enjoyed this, man, and I appreciate it. Well, look, we can do a couple more questions or whatever if you want to talk about some more stuff. But I do feel like that there'll be another meeting coming up. That'd be awesome, bro. Yeah. I would love that, dude, because there's so much stuff, and I think there's a lot of good topics, and especially with our audience, there's a lot of people who are either in recovery already. There's a lot of people who are really trying to find something that works for them, and that's why I always love having different perspectives and different guests and different programs, because not one thing doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. And I always try to keep that platform open for people. I also I would just like to ask your listeners, if they don't know who I am and they haven't heard me before, and if they don't think I'm an idiot by now, I'm actually a really nice, funny guy. So absolutely, if you could go watch my films on Bigger, Stronger, Faster's on Hulu. Our Netflix deal ended and it's over on Hulu, but it's also on iTunes. It's also on Amazon Prime. Yep. And I think Prescription Thugs you can watch on Amazon Prime and Netflix. A Leaf of Faith is on Netflix. Trophy Kid's a little harder to find. That's on HBO Go. It's not.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, it's a weird. It ended up in
clips of it.
Things end up in these weird spaces, and I was doing that. That's something I should definitely bring up, though. I was making Trophy Kids with Peter Berg, who did Friday Night Lights. Oh, and there's two people that really helped me with my sobriety. One of them just walked in here. It was my dad, who's my one of my heroes. And my dad called me one day. He's never yelled at me once in my life, except for like yelling. I would say my dad's never yelled at me individually. It's always been like, you kids are a pain in the ass, like something like that. Like, cause there was three boys and we were always killing each other. Yeah. So it was always like, we'd get yelled at in a group, but never like, and never since I was an adult, but he got frustrated over something. I think it was like, I had no money. And I was like 40 years old. I got no money. Like, I'm calling my parents, asking for money. And my dad was just so frustrated. He goes, I don't know what's wrong with you. We keep trying to help you. We keep trying to do. He's like, you're like a drug addict or an alcoholic, or there's something going on. And I know because I dealt with this with your brother. You can't hide it from me. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, he knows. Like I was
like a punch to the gut, huh?
Oh God, I'm going to cry just talking about it. I was so embarrassed. I felt so bad because I was saying, like, there's always those people in your life that can make you do anything. Yep. There's somebody in your life right now that can say, Shane, I need you to stop this. And it can be your worst vice, but maybe that's your wife, probably your wife, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe one of your kids. Like one of your kids said, Dad, can you please not smoke cigars anymore? Or whatever it is that might afflict you, right? That you think is like, gonna end your life early or be bad for you. There's always that one person. For me, it's my dad. And then also Peter Berg is he's an A-list director. Yeah. He did Friday Night Lights. It was like one of my favorite TV shows ever. He did stuff that really connected with me, and he came up to me in the gym one day a long time ago after I did Bigger, Stronger, Faster, punches me in the arm as hard as he can, like boom, blast me. I go, he's like, what's up, Bell? I'm like, I don't even know you. Yeah. He goes, yeah, you do. I'm Pete Berg. How you doing?
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, well, I know who you are, but you just blasted me. And he's like, you could take time. You're a big kid. You could take time for that. He goes, listen, man, I watched your steroid movie. I thought it was incredible. He's like, you're so talented, man. Like, you're awesome. So we just started talking. He's like, well, what else you got? And I started going through some other ideas. And I had this idea for this movie. It was like a Mexican wrestling superhero movie. And he was like, this is amazing. He's like, my son is really into like these Mexican wrestlers. He's got all these. And so we went in and pitched him a movie to do, and his exact words to me was like, either this movie makes $1 billion or it just never gets made. He's like, there's no in between with it. It's so crazy and out there, but it's so awesome. I love it. So far it hasn't gotten made. He went and did Battleship after that, which is like, I think when we were pitching him, I think he probably would rather have done this movie, this Mexican
now
wrestling
when he looks back on it.
I don't know. Maybe not. But what was really cool was it got me in the door with him. Yeah. And then we were talking and he's like, what happened was like after that meeting, I said, you know what? On the way out the door, this reminds me of like Sylvester Stallone's story with Rocky. It was like on the way out the door, he's like, by the way, I got a script you guys should read. And that's kind of how I was like, oh, by the way, I know your kid is really into sports and that you're around it a lot. I'm doing a documentary about crazy sports parents. And he's like, turn around, come back. What? Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. And I said, well, I filmed some stuff and blah, blah. He's like, do you have any the footage? I got some of it on my phone. And I showed him a little 2-minute thing that I had cut together of like these crazy parents talking to my friend Leland, who's the basketball coach. Oh, yeah. And he was like, this is insane. And it was great because what I showed him was like a clip and it was Leland and he was on the phone with this mom. And she's like, I don't know what to do with him, Leland. I don't know. I got to put some more weight on him. And she's like, do you think I should hold him back? And Leland's like, hold him back? What do you mean? Like in school? She's like, I was thinking of keeping him back this year so he can get another year playing in and he can redshirt. And Leland's like, he's not even in 9th grade yet. He's only like 10 years, 12 years old or whatever. Like it's so crazy. And it's like the mother's like fattening up the cow for the slaughter, it sounds like, and you're like, man, that's so
that was one of the clips I saw was one of the, I'm assuming it was one of the dads and he was it looked like a basketball gym and he was just
just screaming at the kids.
Just screaming. And I grew up with a lot of that stuff. Well, and that's and stuff. And it's not beneficial to a kid.
And then you can't get mad at your kids when they become drug addicts and alcoholics when you treat them like that.
Exactly.
When you expect your kids to perform for you, they're going to end up screwed up, down the line somewhere. So anyway, same thing sort of happened with Peter Berg. I was making Trophy Kids. We were finishing it. And he was like, man, I don't know what's wrong, but you're so talented and you're just wasting your life.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he just said that to me. He said it to me on the phone, you know, and he knew.
He knew.
And then I went into my attic space, my head, not my attic, like not the in my house, but like my attic space in my head. I'm like, screw Peter Berg. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I've seen him drunk on TMZ.
Wow.
I've seen this. I've seen that. I start looking up all. Yeah. Wait a second. He doesn't have a drinking problem. This is like a one-off for him.
Yeah.
This is every day for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I understood it.
Wow.
When I was like, here I am. Like, I kind of understood it while I was trying to find the fault in someone else.
Totally.
I'm like, well, who's he to tell me?
Yeah.
Oh, he's successful. That's who he is to tell me. And he doesn't do this every day. Yeah. I get it. You know, and he understands.
I want to say too, you have 5 years. You just had 5 years, so congrats on that.
Oh,
by
thank
the way.
you, man.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, bro.
And congrats on your 6 years.
Yeah, coming up. It'll be 6, you know, this year, as long as I'm sober today, man. It's the whole thing. Man.
Yeah, you know, it's a weird thing because like the one thing is like anybody that has more time than me, you're like, well, shit, I can't get more time than him unless he falls off. So I don't really want to get more time than him, but I'm always jealous of it.
Yeah, we're close though. I
always look up to it. Put it that way. I'll say it in that way.
Thanks, man.
I don't want to get more time than him, but I want to. You know, I said I forgot how many years sober I was this year, and to me, I think that's the last stage of grieving because when my brother passed away, it was in 2009. And this year in December, when it was like 10 years after he died, it was like exactly 10 years. It was the end of 2008. So it was 2008. It was the end of 2018, December 14th. Oh. And when it got to be December 14th, I woke up that day, and usually like that day every year from the day it happened was some big social media post, some big, I love my brother so much, a bunch of pictures, a video. I woke up that day and went 90% through the day. It was like 6 o'clock at night. Oh my God, today's the day Mad Dog died.
Oh, wow.
Why did I not remember? I'm like, oh, it's 10 years. Maybe that's how long it takes. You know, I was saying like, maybe it takes you 10 years to do what you want. My dad told me that when I was young. It'll take you 10 years to get to your goal.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes you 10 years to get over something. Maybe after 10 years of sobriety, like I won't have any of these issues that I have now still lingering. Cause it's like, and that's why I talk about these diets so much. If you diet yourself off of shit, you will not be an addict. So you have to like starve yourself of some things to be better in others.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
That makes sense. I mean, I think that's a good place for us to like
I
end it on, because I feel like that's what we need to do. We need to like just stop doing so much bad shit every day and just kind of like slow it down. And even if it's like improving one thing a day or taking one thing away a day. And I'm not all about like stripping things down to nothing. I eat red meat every day, every meal. I eat burgers. I eat steaks. I eat good food. It's awesome. I throw some avocados in there, which aren't carnivore, but I'll throw some avocados in there. I'll throw, I'll do a little bit of cheese here and there. I have enough.
I got to do cheese, man. I love cheese.
Yeah, I have enough variety. Look, you could go through and do a carnivore diet with no cheese and be miserable.
Yeah.
But the goal isn't to be miserable. The goal is to be as happy as possible while getting in shape.
Yep.
And the only way to really do that is to do something like I'm doing, to do something where it's nutrient dense and calorie dense and you're not hungry. Because you can't be hungry, else you're gonna fail.
Well, that's when you eat at least for me, that's when I eat the crap. As soon as I start getting hungry, I don't have some solid protein or something, I'll go to the junk food stuff. And it's gotten a lot better. I mean, even in just these last 2 months.
It's so easy to like eat meat all day, and then you go like it's at night and you're at your house and you're like, I'm not cooking a steak right now.
Yeah.
There's no way. And it's so easy to eat something junky and go to bed and be satisfied with it. But then like you wake up feeling like mad at yourself.
Yep.
So what I did is I went out and bought an air fryer, and that changed my life. Air fryer cooks a steak in like 10 minutes and cooks it perfect.
Really?
Boom, done. Yeah, go get you want to get rid of that dad bod, get yourself an air fryer.
All right.
And I would say even for you, the intermittent fasting and adding some red meat in and some eggs in will pull other stuff out of your diet. If you had 4 eggs a day and 4 to 6 ounces of red meat a day, it's going to push so many, and you can have that like for breakfast, or you can have it separately. But if you had it like say for breakfast, you wouldn't be hungry for so long. It would push so many other things out of your diet.
Can you do bacon and eggs, or is bacon?
Bacon's
that's what
totally
I've been
fine.
doing. I've been doing bacon and eggs.
Bacon's totally fine, and it's like there's a lot of myths out there with a lot of this stuff. Like you'll hear about bacon, and people say you got to get the uncured bacon. Like everybody wants you to pay $9 for everything.
Dude, I know it's so expensive. Man.
And I don't feel that way. Like I know you have a family and stuff, and it's hard when you have a family. But like, look, Costco is one of the best quality controlled places in the world, in my opinion. Their meat is the best. Like all this stuff. So get it from Costco. Who cares if it has? When it says it has nitrates in it and nitrites, all that is like celery powder for the most part. And it's like people are like, oh, it's got all these preservatives and all these things. It's like, it's got a little bit. But
that's where we get all the meat. We get a big thing of sirloin I'll use, and then we'll freeze some of it. And my wife will, cut it up into smaller pieces, get some chicken.
I think that's important to stop sweating the minor details and sweat the big things. Yeah. Like sweat the big, like, I did eat, I did eat a little bit off the plan, or I did have this, like I had a scoop of peanut butter. My daughter had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I had the peanut butter in my hand. I took a scoop and I ate it. Yeah. Who cares? Big deal. Go start over. And that's the way I look at it too with diet. And maybe that's the key to like making people look at it the right way, is like, maybe we need to treat it like sobriety. Like maybe it needs to be more serious, because it really is our life and death. Yeah. The only problem is it happens on a scale, like a slow motion. It's like a slow motion car crash, like
what, and I look around and myself included, and I'm working on it right now, but just there's so many unhealthy people around when you just go out anywhere, you know what I mean? Just in our culture and our society. And it's just,
I'm appalled at what we do to children. I'm appalled by it. I'm mad. I'm angry that they allow, like, we know for a fact what certain things do to kids, especially like grains and cereals and stuff. Yeah. And that's all we feed them. Yeah. Feed them grains and cereals. They cause intestinal permeability. They poke holes in your intestines. And so people are like, well, why are carbs so bad? They're not, like, carbs aren't making you fat. Calories are making you fat. Yeah. But carbs are poking holes in your intestines, and meat isn't. So that's the difference.
Well, we always heard meat was so bad for so long. Like you said, arteries, like high cholesterol. I heard that for a long time. And then when I heard about the carnivore diet, I went, what the hell is this? I thought it's one of those things earlier. I heard this was so bad for all these years. Now it's not bad. I
could die tomorrow, but I feel so great today that it would be, it'd be worth the way I've been living for the past 2 years. Yeah. And also, I don't think if I died tomorrow, it'd be from what I ate. It would be from something that already happened a long time ago. It'd be because I used drugs for a long time, and I was eating bad. It would be like, if it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so how can somebody say, like, even if I did die tomorrow, so how could somebody go, oh yeah, it was because of the diet? It's like, unless you really specifically know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Yeah. Almost impossible.
And then somebody asked me the other day, hey, did you read about the 49-year-old firefighter that died on a carnivore diet? And I was like, no, because I'm like, if I heard it, I wouldn't believe it anyway, because like, what did he die of? A heart attack, smoking? Like, what? He's a firefighter. What did he die of?
What else came into the equation?
Where's the story? Yeah, what's the story? What's the news?
I know this is so random right now, and we're going to wrap this thing up. But one of my favorite movies.
Let's wrap it up random.
Let's do it. I like it. One of my favorite movies. I've watched it hundreds of times. It doesn't come out until after Thanksgiving, when we start decorating for Christmas, but Christmas Vacation. I've seen it so many times.
I can't believe you just said that. That's like our family movie.
Is it? That's our family movie too. Yeah. We gather around.
We just talked about it the other day.
Like, Chevy Chase is one of the best. And I've watched it so many times, but it wasn't until I got a little bit more conscious of the food that we're eating and the industry and stuff that I realized he was a food additive designer in the movie. Remember, he's going to win the award for Food Additive Designer of the Year. And I thought that was so crazy. They were promoting it back then.
What did you design though?
It was a food garnish for cereal or something that made made the cereal not soggy or something in the milk. It was something fucking crazy.
You ever seen The Jerk
with Steve Martin?
Yeah, I always compare my brother to The Jerk. because I say like I call him Meathead Millionaire.
Yeah.
But Mark is always he was like he had learning learning disabilities growing up, and he was always trying in school real hard, but like he'd read backwards basically. He'd mess things up, and he'd always he'd always feel bad about not being able to do whatever. Now I forgot what I was going to say. We were talking about Christmas Vacation.
A food additive designer making the milk soggy.
No, because he's like the jerk.
The jerk.
So I always say my brother, so in the movie The Jerk, the guy invents this thing called the Optigrab, which is like helps you keep your glasses so they don't slide down your nose. And like that's what my brother invented. He invented the slingshot, which helps you bench press more weight without hurting your shoulders.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
What I saw.
And so that's like he made like this meathead thing that you would think like, well, who would care that much about bench pressing more? Obviously everybody.
Yeah, because it's a huge thing.
Oh yeah, and they got it into like CrossFit, and people use it for push-ups and all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Really? I'm gonna have to check it out now.
We'll get you some gear.
Oh, that'd be awesome, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, man. Well, where can folks find you at if they want to reach out? The movies we already mentioned, Netflix, Amazon.
Yeah,
I'll put the links all in here too.
Yeah, all the films are available out there on all the major streaming platforms. You can just type in Chris Bell. If you go on Facebook, I think I'm just under Chris Bell. If you go on Instagram or Twitter, I'm under Big Strong Fast. I post the most on Instagram. Seems to be like where everybody's kind of at now. And the other stuff I don't bother with all that much. And if you really want to get a question answered, I always suggest to people to leave comments in my posts, because what happens is if you send DMs, they really get lost in Instagram, and Instagram doesn't have a good way of tracking it, especially if you get like 50 to 100 of them a day or more, like sometimes they just go crazy. So I think that if people leave them in the comments, what I like to do is I like to help everybody in my community.
Sure.
So if you say, hey, Chris, what's the best thing for, stubborn, loose skin or whatever, right? And like, I have an answer for you. I want to give that answer to everybody, not to just you. I think it's selfish when people send you DMs about things that aren't personal.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's on the whole thread for everyone.
It's not personal. Just put it on the thread. Yeah, or like I have a product out, we have a product, Mind Bullet, and that's another thing. People can look at mindbullet.com if they are interested in Kratom. If you go to mindbullet.com/Chris Bell, they would save 20% every time they ordered it. And that's a Kratom product. And like I said, I don't push Kratom on anyone. I think it's a personal decision. I just think it's a great tool. And I always say that like it should be used as a tool. There's certain people like myself, like I pretty much take it every day, but I also try to take breaks from it so I'm not so caught up in it. And I don't think that most people would need it every day. I think most people would need it like when they do some serious work or some serious workouts.
Yeah, because you have a purpose for taking it. It's for pain, obviously.
Yeah. The other option is like, hey, wake up and take pot. So it's funny. It's ironic that you brought up Dr. Drew and the carnivore diet, because when I was telling him how much pain I was in, he said, well, you should, they've done major studies that show if you take one Advil with one Tylenol,
I remember that,
a couple times a day, it'll help you out. It helps more than Vicodin, according to these pain studies. I'm like, really? He's like, oh yeah. And I looked into it, I looked into it, but I didn't look into any of the side effects. And so when I got to that part about the side effects and how it ruins your libido, it ruins this, it ruins that, ruins your gut microbiome, all these things, then it got to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So then when the switch to Kratom came along, it was like such a welcome thing. I'm like, thank God, I don't want to be on anything.
Yeah, sure. Man.
I don't want to be on anything. I don't want to be on anything that's not natural.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the things that are natural, they're so much easier to get over and to fix problems with when you do have problems with them.
And you feel better too.
I feel better.
I feel like,
I think a lot of that's psychological too. Like it could be like, oh, it's all natural, and like people believe in that. But you know what, man, I'll end with this, because like a lot of people get, they don't believe me when I say it, but they've done studies on the placebo effect, which is kind of funny, because what do you use as a placebo in a study for that? But they've done studies on the placebo effect, where the placebo effect works up to 16% with absolutely nothing. So if I give you like a sugar pill, you're going to perform 16% better than you did before, which is hard to quantify unless you have some specific thing, you know. But say, I don't know, you ran it in 12 seconds or you ran it in 11 seconds. Like that's a big difference. That's huge. In a race or whatever. I don't know. Whatever 16%, maybe it's even only like a partial second, but like it's enough for you to win the race or lose the race by.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. It's like, it's, you know,
you get that extra,
yeah.
Just, yeah, I know,
It's
I know
just
what you're
enough.
trying to say.
So,
It's just some,
so
yeah.
if a placebo effect can work 16%, imagine what CBD is doing for people.
Oh man. Yeah.
And I think that is the key to the multi-billion-dollar CBD industry. Is it doesn't work. It's not effective for pain. There's no studies that say it's effective for pain. There's no studies that say it's effective for anxiety. There's no studies that say it's effective for depression definitively. They're all kind of like loosey-goosey, maybe, maybe not, you know, and CBD has built this huge industry around this plant, you know?
Yeah.
And it might just all be false. I would not be surprised if in 5 years it comes out and it's like CBD is all bullshit.
Really?
I swear to God. And I don't mean to, I know there's probably a bunch of people listening to this that use it for pain and things like that. But I think, and I do think if it is working for people, continue to take it. I could be wrong too, but I have used CBD from 5 milligrams up to 1,000 milligrams at a time. I've done 1,000 milligrams. I did 1,000 milligrams every day for a week, and I felt no relief in pain. Really? I wasn't taking Kratom.
I wonder if what the longevity is on how long you're supposed to take it before it becomes effective.
That's the things
because I've heard up to like 30 days.
And those are the things
I don't know.
Those are the things. And so just so you're aware, 1,000 milligrams over the course. If I didn't have somebody give that to me, that bottle would have been like $500.
Oh, I'm sure that's it's a lot.
So I was loading up on it because my friend makes this. He has this brand Alpha Canna X. And Alpha Canna X, like he makes it. And so I was like, okay, well, if you're going to give it to me, I'll try it. You know, I don't mind trying it.
Here's the one thing I do know, because I've experienced with my wife about CBD and marijuana, is that so both of our kids were C-sections, right? So as soon as she had Lucy, not long after she started getting migraines. Mm-hmm. She's had them for the last nine years, or 8 years, because they've kind of mellowed out in the last year. But they would always prescribe her Percocet, right? So she would have to take Percocet, and then she would feel like shit for a day or two or 3. She'd get sick. A lot of the time she hated taking it, but she would literally wake up some nights and not even be able to, like, she'd be throwing up, all this stuff. She started smoking a little bit of the pen or doing CBD. And they have, I can't say that they're 100% gone, but when she starts to feel them coming on, if she does that, they go away. And it's
maybe also I might need to try different kinds of CBD. The ones I was taking were oral. They were, they were.
I've done the drops.
They were drops, yeah. And but like, and it was all, I got all the test results. It's high quality stuff. It's all like legit. And I got it from several different companies that people I'm friends with that make it. Cause after I made A Leaf of Faith, I must have had 6 CBD companies come to me, want me to make a movie about it.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'll tell people, just so everybody knows that I'm honest, I'm not up full of shit. I mean, I've had people offer me hundreds of thousands of dollars to make a movie about CBD.
Yeah.
And I've turned them all down.
Yeah.
Because there is no amount of money that's going to make me make a movie about something that I don't believe in.
That goes back to the agenda thing, right?
Even right now with agendas, like we're making a movie about nutrition and I don't know what the answers are yet. Mm-hmm. And I'm not willing to execute yet until I'm ready.
I love that.
I'm just telling people when's the movie coming out? I'm like, dude, I didn't even start editing yet because I'm not ready. But when I'm ready, I'm going to blast you with it.
What's your editing process? Oh God, I hate editing, man. Here we go. We need to do another podcast.
Yeah,
man.
we will. We'll get into this on the next one. But I'll just really quick. My editing process is like, go out and shoot a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like, if you're smart, I think the way to start a movie is like, go out and shoot as much stuff as you can for free. Like, say you want to do something on sobriety.
Yeah.
Go out and you shoot a bunch of interviews like this, but just shoot like 5 of them for no money. Get a friend to help you. Set up the camera yourself. Do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
Start figuring it out a little bit first, and then maybe play around with that footage. And like, that's kind of stuff I like to do, is like start seeing if you got something there.
Yeah.
And then once you get a couple good interviews, then you can start bringing in a team.
I see.
I think doing things prematurely, I need this and I need that before I can get started, are non-starters. They make people not start.
Love that.
And so I think that like my advice to get into editing or documentaries or telling stories or whatever you want to do, whether it's Instagram, social media, whoever you want to influence. I'll say to every single one of your listeners. First of all, congratulations to all of you, because you're listening to this for a reason and you're here for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
And you have a purpose, and your purpose is to help other people. And if you wake up every day and you plant your feet on the ground and you stick your chest up and you're proud of what you've done and what you've accomplished, you will go out in the world and you will tell people what you have done with your own life. And by doing that, it'll help them pull themselves out of that hole. And you will not believe, if you've never done it before, you will not believe the feeling it gives you. You get the emails every day. You have a podcast.
Yep.
You must get them every day.
Every day, bro.
And it's
awesome.
Insane. It's a miracle. It's a blessing. And it's also difficult. You know, I'm dealing with a guy right now that weighed 735 pounds when he started the carnivore diet. He's down to like 500 something now.
Damn.
So, but he's not even close to where he needs to be.
Even after that much, but he's working though.
But how awesome is that to be helping
amazing,
the guy?
Bro.
How awesome is it to get the text messages from the guy every day saying like, you have no idea what this is doing for me.
Yep.
And like, I don't even really care what it's doing for him, because I care that I'm able to, I don't care what it's specifically doing for him. I do care what it's doing for him. I care more about the fact that I can tell somebody something in a couple sentences and completely change their life.
Yeah.
That's important and that's powerful. It's like when you can define your message down to like meat and water. How do I get in shape? Red meat and water.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. Out of here.
Mark calls it the elevator pitch. And it could be the same thing with sobriety. How do I get sober? Go to AA. See you later.
Yep.
How do I get clean? You know, it's like find somebody who's done it.
Don't eat cherry pies.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we should
right
end
on,
on
man.
that note.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Chris Bell, thank you, man. Check out the films. Check out Chris's podcast too, Better, Stronger, Faster, a performance enhancing podcast. One of my favorite ones. Lots of good stuff on there. You can check us out at thatsoberguy.com. Once again, connect with us on Instagram at real.soberguy, at Shane Raymer on Twitter, which I barely know how to use. I'm more on the Instagram, I guess.
One of these days.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll take a class or something. Probably not. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this. Peace, love, and respect. Keep your blood clean.
I've been trying to keep my head on straight. I've been trying to keep my head on straight. You still say that I don't know anything about you. Oh, I don't know anything about you, but I know what you do in the back room. And you still say that I don't know anything about you. Oh, I don't know anything about you, but I know what you do in the back room.